Fate Grand Order every day for the past 2.5 years.
I played it for 7.
Conclusion.
Okay, Don, I need to say this in...
You can turn off the video now.
Say about this game.
Okay, in
the
off chance that there's like Lost World 6 spoilers, just tell me.
Playtime on this one than any of the previous entries I've reviewed.
Specifically Lost World 6. I know what happens in Lost World 5.5.
FGO will also represent the largest audience of any gacha game I have covered so far. So I really want to dive into exactly what I will discuss. Before I get into the actual review, I want to preface this by saying that FGO was my second ever gacha game, one after Genshin. I started during New Year of 2022.
FGO was my first gacha, and that's why my expectations were in the trash.
Despite me playing the game for 2 years, I don't have the majority of the SSRs in my roster. In fact, I don't even have 50% of it. This is due to the game's extremely stingy rates, but I'll go over that in due time. I don't have in-depth experience with every single player or team.
Not many people are going to have over 50% of the roster. Only whales.
I'm familiar with the Fate franchise, having watched
I'm most are going to have like 15% of the roster.
I know what the Holy Grail War refers to, I know about the most iconic characters, and I know what mana transfer means.
Yes! I knew they were going to use that. They had to have used that eventually.
I don't consider myself a dedicated Fate fan, but I'm familiar with it. I play on the North America servers, which is 2 years behind the Japanese one. This means I won't have all the hands-on experience for the content that is yet to be released, but I will consider...
I will say this right now. Yeah. I think playing on the NA server is a much better experience because you can actually save for future shit.
You can
and you get quality of life updates way early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
JP content to the best of my knowledge. If you've been playing FGO for a long time, and when you saw the length of the video, I think you have a very good idea what I'll be talking about for the next hour and a half.
I'm not sure, actually.
Any of my critiques or opinions on the game is directed to the game and its developers, not to its community and content creators. Undoubtedly, there will be many longtime fans watching this video. In fact, you might be an FGO veteran or streamer reacting to this video right now.
See, Don? He's self-aware.
Hours of free content that I
Thank you for the free content!
The reaction video in full without any significant edits onto YouTube, then please wait until this video reaches 3 weeks of age before uploading it.
Isn't it been like 3 years or something?
Met, then dislike the reaction video, unsubscribe
from
the channel.
Hold on, I might have missed that.
Reaction video in 2 hours of free content that I just provided, and if you're going to upload the reaction video in full without any significant edits onto YouTube, then please wait until this video reaches 3 weeks of
3 weeks. Okay.
3 weeks. I think it's been like what, a month?
It's been
7 days.
1 week. Okay.
Okay then, Don. So you know what that means. We have to cancel this stream.
Nope.
Age before uploading it. If this condition is not met, then dislike the reaction video, unsubscribe from the channel immediately, and also block the channel.
Yes, block Don on YouTube.
Okay, let's talk about Fate. It's one of the biggest franchises in Japan, and I think
I will respect that.
Of just how huge it is. During its peak, FGO had the highest number of entries at Comiket in Japan, and it's not even close between it and second place, though VTubers and Blue Archive seem to be dominating the list these days. It was more talked about than Fortnite and PUBG, and amassed hundreds of millions of dollars in the first 3 years of runtime. Fate is an absolute cultural phenomenon in Japan, so if there was a way to get
that's because Fate's fucking awesome.
At your fingertips, you bet a game like that is gonna garner a lot of attention. Unlike other IP-based gacha games, FGO actually expands on the lore of the series quite a lot, bringing in many new flavors to the franchise. For those that never played it, even now, FGO sits comfortably in the top 10 earners in terms of worldwide monthly revenue, which means it shouldn't be unfair to assume that the game...
See, here's the thing. Most of that revenue comes from either a big servant being released, usually related to stories, or a servant that's been wanted for a very, very long time, or summer event. Summer and anniversary and New Year's. Those are the big money makers.
Or if they're doing a collaboration.
Do we really count it as collaborations if Type Moon is collaborating with itself?
Not really, but you know what I mean by
that. Yeah, they trick you into thinking it's something special. They trick you into thinking it's something special. It's not like Honkai Star Rail X Fate Unlimited Blade Works.
Yeah. All right.
is doing a lot of things right. Okay, so my expectations are sky high now. You are one of the best, right? I chose FGO because I heard the story was really good.
And it is!
This is my one weakness when it comes to choosing new gachas to play. For whatever reason, the gacha game industry is home to some of the best storytelling imaginable. If you say your game has a good story,
Oh, that's good.
Honkai Impact
good.
Third representation! I'm subscribing just for that. I'm subscribing.
I'm surprised you weren't subscribed before. Subscribe, hit the bell, and then just put Honkai Impact Third representation.
I'm subscribing just for that. Where's the bell icon? Where's the bell?
It's right
Oh.
beside. There you go.
There we go. We have every reason to be salty. Okay. But I was going to say, before I saw Honkai Impact Third pop up on the screen, the reason that stories in Gacha can be so good is because, well, the creators can have a long time to tell the story they want to tell. And it can be in multiple arcs. Like, let's take Honkai Impact Third's story. I feel pretty confident in saying that that would not all release on one game.
Oh no.
Like, in terms of just the story itself. Let's take away the gameplay. Let's focus solely on the story.
Like visual novel, pretty much.
Like up to chapter 9, I would say would be the first game. Then maybe the battle between Kiana and you-know-who in chapter 17 would be the second game. Then the whole Elysian Realm thing and Auto, that would be a third game. And the final game for Kiana's main story would be the end of, would be game 4. So, yeah.
It would be
that's why gacha stories end up being so good. As well as the fact of this.
I was going to say that they also want to keep you hooked in, so you could keep playing the game.
Not just that. They are allowed the criticism of players who point out if the story isn't interesting within, like, the first month or so. And they're allowed the time to, like, rewrite things to make it more interesting or such.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, like... I imagine that's how it was with Honkai Impact Third, because its story at the very beginning, not that interesting. But as it kept going, it just kept getting better and better. Mm-hmm. Until it completely dropped the ball with the Moon arc and became convoluted as hell. I'm still salty about that. Anyway, I digress. Let's continue.
I mean, it did peak at Final Lesson. I will. That is it.
I will play it. I went into it with an open mind. I knew how atrociously bad the gacha rates were, but I thought if I didn't focus on that, I just try to enjoy the story instead, there shouldn't be any problems. Ask anyone what FGO is most known for, a lot of its emphasis is on the narrative and characters, primarily
the story and characters 100% carry it.
If you point at a piece of FGO artwork and say, that looks AI generated, that is one of the most offensive things you can say to this community.
Wait, well, alright.
Enjoy the story.
Hold on. Let me go back. I've never heard that.
So, if you point at a piece of FGO artwork and say, that looks AI generated, that is one of the most offensive things you can say to this community.
Oh, definitely.
I've never once seen that said. Never once have I ever seen someone claim anything official Fate looks AI generated. I've never seen that. Now, I've seen a lot of AI generated stuff, but none of it actually from official Fate.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
No.
Huh.
Also, you're gonna have to explain to me what's going on screen right now.
What do you mean?
I have not played Lost Belt 6, remember that?
They're not talking about Lost Belt 6.
So who's
Enjoy
ripping
the
her the
story,
stage?
I sure did, but I had
Josh,
no
they're gonna
clue
jump
what
in
I was
between
walking into.
cutscenes. I won't
So
have
this
enough
is
time to
the
explain
reason I
things.
started doing a
That's
background
fine. It's
check
fine. It's
on the
fine.
developers
I'm gonna
of the
forget
game
about
I'm
everything that
reviewing.
happens here, anyways.
FGO was developed by a
Oh,
small
great,
Oh,
it's
this
you.
piece of
studio
shit!
called Delightworks. It was later rebranded to Lasango, who was later
Lasagna.
acquired by Aniplex.
Lasagna. You know what? I'm gonna ask chat this now while it's going on. Who handled FGO better? Lasagna or Delightworks? Because with Delightworks, we didn't get that many quality of life things we wanted. But we also got a lot more content.
Yeah.
And
I
it
kinda
also
like
wasn't as greedy.
I will admit I kind of like the more content more than the quality of life, mostly because servant coins are kind of.
They're basically the same company, just under a different name and management. I guess so, but still. I will say that for myself as an occasional whale, I much prefer lasagna. Because having that pity system is a comfort. You don't know how much of a comfort that is.
Oh no, it's a huge comfort.
Yeah. Let's continue. Oh my gosh, this video is gonna be fucking atrociously long.
Oh, definitely.
In 2022, who now manages both the JP and the NA servers. To my understanding, Delightworks was a relatively unknown company that was contracted to develop a Fate mobile game alongside one of the original series' primary writers, Kinoku Nas, who assisted with writing the prologue chapter of the game, and whose name also
I hate that you
phonetically
call her
translates to
Ultria.
Mushroom Eggplant.
I didn't even hear
Which
that.
one company got the rights for the Fate IP, I have no idea.
Mushroom Eggplant.
Nas, alongside Takashi Takeuchi as the illustrator, formed the visual novel company Type Moon, with their debuting visual novel Tsukihime, released in the year 2000.
Tsukihime
Was
representation,
the first commercially released visual novel in 2004,
which
with
is
a
now
follow-up
released
sequel
here.
in 2005. I've never
You mean
seen
the
it myself,
randomizer,
but it was
right?
immensely popular at the time. Fate in general has grown into a long-standing franchise with multiple forms of media. There's a lot of cool stuff you can find if you look hard enough. They got some other works under their belt as well, but there's no denying that these two are.
And Noir just screamed.
They have influence regarding the direction.
Noir
of
just screamed
FGO
times
narratively,
2.
with Nas taking the lead on writing the main story chapters.
Hi, Percy.
FGO was Delightworks'
I will
first-
say, wait. I thought you said his name as Nasu.
No, people refer to him as Nasu.
Huh. Well, I'm just wondering, because he said Nas. Huh.
No, yeah, people refer to him as Nasu.
I will say, he, I believe, wrote Camelot and a lot of other future stories. And ever since he got involved, the writing has significantly jumped. Like, the first 5 stories in, main stories in FGO, they're serviceable.
I mean,
I
have you
can't
seen?
really remember anything about them.
I mean, have you seen the Lost Belt 6 script? Do I need to pull out the image?
No, I know. It's half the length of Fate Stay Night itself. And it deserves it. It's so fucking good.
It deserves its own. Actually, okay, I need to ask you this: would you prefer to see a Avalon LaFay movie or a Avalon LaFay series?
Series, because there's no frickin' way they would be able to make it into a movie. Josh, Heaven's Feel alone was 3 movies.
I know,
that's
why I'm asking.
One route.
I know, that's why I'm asking. Would you prefer
it would 100% need to be like a 26 episode series. Maybe, most likely more than that. It is long. Like, it's basically the size of like 2 routes in Fate Stay Night.
Yeah.
Major project, and I did some digging, but they're also the authors of 2 other games. In 2020, they also released a new gacha game called Sakura Kakume, which is based on the JRPG.
Oh, is this the
series
one that got
Sakura
cancelled?
Well, I will probably cover this in more detail in a future video, but long story short, this game bombed hard. Huge loss of revenue and investment, it was shut down after 6 months. Looks like the popularity of the IP couldn't carry them this time. Guess the success of FGO must have gone to their head. And the terminated
Yeah,
game
pretty
is
much.
suspiciously
Pretty
missing
much.
on Lasango's
I'm sorry. I'm going to be pausing all the time, but I'm just going to say that, yeah, I remember hearing about that DW released another gacha game with basically the same, like, elements as FGO, no real quality of life outside of that, and it bombed hard. Without the characters and story, DW does not make a good game. In fact, I'll say it, FGO is a fantastic story. Good game, on the other hand, that's debatable.
Yes.
Now, the boss fights are fun. Boss fights are very fun.
They can be very fun if, mechanics work your way.
Yup.
Website. I know what you did, Delightworks. You can't hide from me. In 2021, they also announced an untitled new game, presumably also gacha, but the teaser site...
Oh, they made Cardfight Online? Did not know that, Lane.
2022. The URL to the site gives an error and the video is privated. Well, since no one said that I'm not allowed to show it, and since someone in the comments conveniently archived it, here is the trailer for that untitled game. It basically shows a scene rendered in Unreal Engine 4, which is what it was advertised for. Then the screen pans to some imagery depicting some cyberbullying themes, the camera pans to some horror elements, then a cut to the teaser screen. No title, no release date. As for the site, it's no longer accessible. But I wonder if... No, it can't be that easy.
What?
So we can't see what the background was anymore, but
the
game was detailed as a new project for Delightworks using a new engine. There really isn't much to go on except for the teaser page, which is pretty bare bones. But we can confirm the DW and Unreal Engine logo at the bottom. Who knows? Maybe this project will resurface under Lasango's authorship. Only time will tell. Overall, it's a company
most likely
with
won't.
Projects, but FGO's scale has expanded way beyond anyone's expectations. So, let's finally talk about it. FGO JP launched in August of 2015, and the NA started July in 2017.
So, wow.
When it first launched, the game wasn't in the prettiest shape. Obviously, the game engine had 9 years to be polished at this point, so the NA side didn't.
I've seen the animations for the
uninitiated FGO player
original,
and
for the game
damn,
outdated. Yes.
Oh, it's definitely updated.
Even by 2015 standards, this didn't look too good. Pokemon Go released in the same year, and mobile game staples like Clash of Clans had already been released with more intuitive UI. There's a lot of general jank compared to other gacha games in terms of today's standards, but the UI will get its turn later in the video. The main thing to remember here is that the FGO project was not the most well thought out or the most well developed. It was originally created as a cash grab mobile game. The original launch had a risk of being shut down based on the number of
god, that's such an old animation.
Oh wow, that animation is old.
These are old
I will defend this. This doesn't look that bad.
Periods throughout the launch.
Not that bad, but good lord.
But compared to what we have now, yeah.
In fact, there was a running joke among the JP players at the time known as the legendary 18 minutes, where the game was available to play for a whopping third of an hour. I think
hold on, I must have missed something. Go back.
I went back and took a look at the maintenance periods throughout the launch in 2015, and you can see just how often the game went down. In fact, there was a running joke among the JP players at the time known as the legendary 18 minutes, where the game was available to play for a whopping third of an hour. I think Delightworks deserves a
wow!
During its first Halloween event, there was a limited quest that only lasted for 1 hour. Everyone tried to log in, which overloaded the servers.
My god, look at Herc's
flimsily put together game engine will be the crux of a lot of FGO's problems down the line.
Wait, we only had Bond 5?
Let's keep this in mind going forward. So since FGO often
wait a minute,
top 10,
no, we only had Bond 5 at the time?
Yes, we only had Bond 5! Look, go back a little bit.
No way.
Wait. There we go.
Oh my gosh. The game started with... You couldn't even reach Bond... Wow, Bond 10 was a quality of life update?
That is no, I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe that.
Put together game engine will be the crux of
Josh, I think you might end up being here because we're learning quite a bit.
I might end up being here a lot longer than normal.
Bodge 20 win. I know, right? I need that for when I eventually max out Tamamo.
Well, yeah.
FGO's problems down the line. Let's keep this in mind going forward. So since FGO often ranks in the top 10 and sometimes even top 5 of monthly gacha earners, it shouldn't be unreasonable to have high expectations for it, like in terms of production quality, gameplay, and update schedules. So in Fate Grand Order, you play as the Master of Chaldea, a novice rookie mage that happened to be at the right place at the
No,
right
Bleeding
time,
Bashu!
who is also canonically heavily implied as underage, despite what the doujins depict. Chaldea is part of a research foundation.
Bullshit! Bull frickin' shit. How many frickin' summers and Christmases have we been through? That makes absolutely no sense.
Okay, considering you said, what is it? Christmas 5 was Karna, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Karna, I think.
Yeah, so it's 16 to 17 plus 5. So they're like 22 to 23 years
They
old.
could have started when they were 12 years old. And by now, they should be like 21. There is no way that Ritsuka should still be classified as underage. The only reason they do that is probably just so any player that joins at any time feels like more comfortable, I guess. But now even that doesn't make sense. FGO has an adult audience.
Yeah. Okay. But by the way, they should be like 12. They should be like 12 years older than 16 to 17. So yeah, like mid to late 20s by now. God, I feel old.
You know what? There is one potential counter argument. I don't know if they've ever brought this up in any event. It is possible that all the race shifting and Lost Belt shenanigans has messed with the growth of their body. So
That would make sense.
that could be an explanation, but it's still bullshit.
Well,
For Magecraft. In 2015, the institution predicted that humanity will reach extinction 2 years later. In order to find the cause of this anomaly, Chaldea has conducted ray shifts into previous eras and found several singularities corrupting humanity's timeline. Tasked with restoring the foundations of humanity by recovering 7 singularities formed by the omnipotent Holy Grails, the Master, alongside his or her Kohai, Mash Kyrielite, Da Vinci, who is a
Protect
MILF
your
in the Fate
Kohai.
universe, Dr. Roman,
Razor
Mary,
Kohai.
and Professor Lev, and you go on a grand mission to recover the Grails and delete these singularities,
Caster
preventing
Gill.
humanity from extinction.
Now,
If I were to describe FGO's gameplay, it would look like an iceberg. On the surface, it looks
Oh,
deceptively
no,
simple,
invincibility.
but there are
What
so
am I
many
to
hidden
do?
mechanics that the game doesn't tell you. At its absolute core, FGO features turn-based combat, where you will form a party of 3 servants, with 3 backline members that will replace the servants that perish on the front lines. Each servant is equipped with 3 skills that have cooldowns
About
for a certain
that.
amount of specified turns. You will also select a friend support as
He's
one of
probably
the
going to
6
say
options,
something
but
about, this is
unlike
what
in
you
some
normally
other
do,
gachas, you
but you'll
have to
mostly do
select a
3-turn
support.
farming.
Except for special cases, you cannot bring 6 of your own units into a level. The units you bring can also be equipped with an artifact item called Craft Essence, often abbreviated as CE. The rarity of the unit
I
is
will say, when it comes to craft essences, I do think they are significantly more powerful than people give them credit for.
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. Some of them are the reason we're able to even do certain comps.
Yeah, do certain comps like K-Scope, which I only just got a super K-Scope this year. Fuck you,
What was it
Lane. I
called?
already know what you're about to say. You and your 2 max limit broken K-Scopes. You don't even play the game anymore. You bitch. You make me so salty. Anyway.
What else is it? Oh, yeah, Black
CE
Grail.
contribute to the total
Oh, yeah, Black
cost
Grail's
of the
awesome.
party, with the higher rarities costing more. Even if you reach the higher player levels, you cannot bring a full party of 5-star units or CEs, so you do have to at least use a few units of lesser rarities.
Or you
just
bring
give up a
Mosh.
slot entirely. Luckily, something else I quite like about FGO is
Sabotage.
that some of the low rarity units are actually pretty good, and a couple I
That
still
is
run
true.
in the late
That
game.
is
The
very,
Oh, that
very
is an
true.
old
2
animation.
supports and 1 DPS on field.
That was an old Ushi animation.
Yeah, that is an old animation. Oh my gosh, we're never gonna get through this. Anyway,
We're not.
One thing I do want to give credit to FGO is its lower rarity servants can absolutely pull you through the game.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Arash is a 1-star unit, and we're still using him.
Yep, still using him. And Ku has been everyone's bro since the start of the game.
Yeah.
And even
Was it-
freaking Gil... Even freaking Gilder Rye just got a buff in JP, which actually makes him a decent support now. I can't believe I'm saying that.
And now we're gonna talk about the solo master himself, Kojiro.
Oh yeah, Kojiro. I never used him that much.
Yeah. There's a lot of videos of Kojiro soloing bosses, not to mention the taunters as well.
And of course, you're Riley. I almost said the name wrong.
Yep. You're Riley, the man killer.
Whatever. The backline members exist to replace.
Don't use her in that ascension.
Slot, usually referred to as an anchor, is used by a strong solo unit with great survivability to close out the fight before you run out of steam.
God, I feel like Ku Alter needs.
And it consists of 3 card types.
Yep, we were talking about Kojiro for a moment.
So when the NP gauge is at 100% or above, the NP card can be selected during your turn as its own separate card. Each non-NP card, also referred to as a face card, can also crit, depending on the number of stars currency you have. 1 star equates to 10%, but since critting is an all-or-nothing mechanic, you're gonna have times where you hit a 10% chance and miss 90% ones. The 3 card types in the game,
or you'll miss a 90% and go, what the fuck?
Stars and does not increase your NP gauge.
Sasaki Kojiro is a fake character.
And Quick, the weakest card type in terms of strength, generates the most stars and increases the NP gauge by a little. Each servant has a slightly different deck, so the 3 card types can be distributed a bit differently. During a turn, the game will select 5 cards at random, and you will choose 3 to use. Since there are 3 servants totaling 15 cards, they will cycle through every 3 turns, assuming you
and
don't
arts is mainly what most people go for,
because
it's the easiest to understand.
Depending on which ones you picked. The first card, often referred to as the lead card, will determine the effects of the subsequent 2. Buster will slightly increase the damage, Arts will slightly increase the NP gain, and Quick will increase the number of stars gained. And all cards
that is different now.
Plus 20%.
Very different.
If all 3 cards selected are Buster cards, then the entire attack chain will increase its damage through something called the Buster chain. If all 3 are Arts, then any servant cards associated in the chain will gain a 20% NP gauge while increasing the gain itself, and if all 3 are Quick, then 20 stars are instantly generated, and all cards will get a plus 20% crit chance.
Also, happy to see you here, Hero.
Each type, then you will get a small bonus of all 3 through something called the QAB chain or the Mighty chain.
Yeah, that literally just got introduced in NA.
And it's so helpful.
And it's so damn good. One of the best quality of life upgrades they've made in the game.
Arts brave chains, and onwards. It's also worth noting that even if a servant does not have 3 of the same card type in their deck, if their NP card can make up for the missing one, they can still fulfill a chain with it. Each NP can either deal damage or grant buffs or debuffs.
Yeah, that is old.
A unique overcharge ability for each.
I remember facing this, facing that beast in Epic of Remnant 1 was scary.
Level goes up to 5, and if the NP is used at 200% gauge, it will have a level 2 overcharge.
Jack's NP looks so good now.
Often, but another type of attack chain is something called the NP chain, where if you place
thank you,
right
Hero.
after another, then the subsequent one will increase 1 overcharge level. You can even chain 3 in a row, but if you split up the 2 NP cards like this, then it will not count as an NP chain, and no overcharge will happen. You can freely target an enemy before an attack is initiated.
There's the legend Arash himself.
For each individual attack card. If the enemy is defeated, then the game will auto-select the rightmost enemy for the next attack to hit. If you select 2 or more face cards belonging to the same servant,
sometimes you want to overkill one enemy just so you get more NP.
The targeting priority is changed if you use an NP card or use another servant's face cards. So for example, if I use the brave chain here, then the servant would just keep hammering on the same enemy.
Keep forgetting Noble Katsu's whole thing is that he wants to die for
attack kills the rightmost enemy. So
your volume's a little low, Josh.
Different card type, and the extra attack will finish off the last.
Seems a bit better.
The thing is, the game doesn't tell you this. It's just something that you have to figure out for yourself. There is also a class system with damage advantages, where a class will deal double damage and only take half damage to another. So for example, Sabers have advantage over Lancers, who beats Archers, who beats Sabers. The same loop exists for the 3 classes of Riders fighters, casters,
And then you get to the
assassins.
extra class, which
Berserkers
is
deal
just
1.5 times damage to all
Almost
other classes
everyone,
while dealing
which
double
is true.
damage from them. Rulers deal neutral damage to all the aforementioned classes and only take
I do
0.5
like
times
many of the
damage
extra
back from them,
classes, though.
Except Berserkers.
It makes
while
sense.
Also having full class advantage towards Moon Cancers, who
Remember
beats
Ruler
Avengers,
Martha?
who beats Rulers. Foreigners
Wait,
have
wait,
full
wait,
class
wait,
Moon
wait.
Cancers, who beats Avengers.
I never noticed that. I always thought it was just an angry... I always just thought it was a flame. I never noticed the eye and the angry face there.
I'm surprised.
I have played this game for 7 years, and I just thought it was a flame.
I mean, I will admit, I thought the same, but after a while, I'm like, that little face.
I never saw it was an angry face. Am I the only one?
No, no, I did think it was the same thing.
BB is like, Dawn, what the fuck? It's a burning angry face. I get that now, but
Actually, wait. I'm trying to remember. Is angry? Okay, is angry? Mind you, an Avenger, isn't he?
yeah, he is an Avenger.
Well, now it makes sense. Now it makes sense why it's a burning face.
I guess. I mean, more fitting for Jalter, but wow, never noticed that.
Avengers, who beats Rulers. Foreigners have full class advantage towards Berserkers, meaning this is the only class where Berserkers will deal half damage to.
I know about Nero's
then-
Beast
They
class.
also
Shut
deal
up.
take double damage from other foreigners, and also have class advantage towards Pretenders.
Wait. Foreigners
Now,
do
Pretenders
damage
have
to
half
themselves.
class advantage
Do extra
Yeah,
damage to
foreigners,
themselves?
Their sabers, archers,
foreigners
and
deal
lancers,
damage to
where they deal
themselves.
1.5 times
Does that work
damage
for
to
story,
Wurzel,
Abby?
but
Because
only
Yes,
it's
deal
question.
half
yes, it
damage
does.
For the cavalry
Okay, then I'm
classes
using
of fighters,
Kokusai.
casters, and assassins. But all of these classes will deal neutral damage back, and the Pretenders also have full class advantage towards alter egos, and these guys are the other way around. They deal 1.5 times damage to the cavalry classes, but half to the knight classes, and they loop right back to having full advantage towards foreigners.
Yep, alter
There's also
egos
the
do have
elusive Shielder class,
advantage.
who takes and deals complete neutral damage to all classes. But there's only one shielder in the entire game, and that is your eggplant Kohai.
Protect!
It's a very elaborate
Yay!
game of rock, paper, scissors. That being said, since I've got a sizable amount of gacha games under my belt at this point, FGO's class system is the most extreme I've seen. Usually a class where element can deal a bit more extra damage to another.
I never
taking
noticed
half
that,
damage
Mantra
from an
Force.
enemy is kind of a big deal. Even if a servant does
Wait,
special
what did he
damage
say is
to
a big
an
deal?
enemy, is extra damage
Elements.
to another, but dealing double damage while only taking half damage from an enemy is kind of a big deal. Even
Well,
if
yeah.
someone does special damage towards an enemy with a specific trait, why not just bring someone with full class advantage? Each servant also has a set of passive abilities, which are usually just small bonuses here and there, but some of the recent ones can get pretty creative. For each battle, you are also equipped with something called a Mystic Code, essentially just an outfit that gives 3 master skills for you to use. These can range from anything from healing a servant, switching the order of a backline member, or shuffling your
Mystic
deck.
codes are
On the
pretty
upper right
essential.
corner, you can also carry up
Yeah.
to 3 command spells. You can use them to heal a servant back to full, fill the MP gauge, or using all 3, literally bring your entire party back to life and fill their MP gauges. One is
And that is basically the only time that you should... Whenever you're using command seals, unless you're like 100% certain you're gonna win and it's close to like command seal refresh time, you only use your command seals for like a full revive.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's too risky if you mess it up. Because
Yeah.
I've had that happen once and I'm like, well, I'm not doing that again. Also, thank goodness that in JP, they recently updated it where all 3 command seals refresh within a day.
That is what I would like rather than just one.
Yeah, it actually... You know, it actually will encourage some funny 3-turn farming methods now that I think about it. I mean, you
Yeah,
can't... Actually, if AP battles cost like 21, and you time it near the refresh,
Yeah.
then you could actually do some pretty crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
refresh every day at server reset, though the 9th anniversary will refresh all 3 per day on JP now. If only Shiro had this ability in Stay Night. Now, that would have been nice. Story content in these reviews, but since FGO is well known for it, representing a big part of its cultural significance and popularity, let's talk about it. So after the Fuyuki prologue chapter, Kinoku Nas was hands-off in writing the first couple singularities.
Which shows!
5 chapters of the story.
Oh, definitely.
How do I describe it? Oh yeah, not so good. Because the game was originally created as a cash grab, the story was pretty much non-existent. Orleans was really just a fan service for John, one of the most popular Fate characters, and Septum was really just fan service for Nero Claudius, who has turned into a waifu in this universe. When they adapted
she's 100% my waifu,
they
along with
adapted the
Tamamo.
prologue and singularities 6, 7, and the finale. The story battles were not very creative either, and the difficulty is pretty much a joke. That is, until you actually get to the good part. They realized that despite all the game's shortcomings, the game was doing well. In an effort to increase player interest, they thought, wait a minute, people are actually playing this. Maybe we should actually write some good stories. The Camelot arc was the first to receive proper care from writers.
And it's so good.
Primary creative director.
There's a reason this has a movie.
There's
a reason this has a movie.
Right in your tracks. Now,
oh god, is this the old one?
Hey, thank you for the raid, Shima!
As I mentioned in the Path to Nowhere review, I understand that some players actually like sudden difficulty spikes like this one.
For the sake of the video, I'm gonna rewind a bit.
Where this guy with the power of the sun stops you right in your tracks.
Where this guy with the power of the sun.
Yeah, he does.
For difficulty. But
I mean, it's
as
true.
I mentioned in the Path to Nowhere review, I understand that some players actually like sudden difficulty spikes like this one, where it forces you to approach the game differently, and you can't just solve anything with your broken friend supports. Anyways, Camelot represented a major turning point in FGO's development. Alongside the next singularity, Babylonia, the game was able to reach the apex of its popularity in the 2016 and 2017 period. The world genuinely felt alive, and the characters were fleshed out. The fights were no longer huge enemies with inflated health bars, and some bosses have some pretty interesting gimmicks. For the time, I didn't regret my decision to start this game at all. I mean, the story was scattered in bite-sized pieces, so I didn't have to commit too long when I was commuting to university at the time. I mean, the full party revives with the command spells makes it so that even if you don't care about...
Oh, this person's been saving. I saw those 620 quartz.
Difficult encounters. After Babylonia, it was time for the finale of the main story chapters. The Solomon raid of 2016 was arguably FGO.
I remember this.
All masters
so fucking good.
Down the 6 demon pillars.
And I remember everyone bullied Barbatos because he dropped the
It was
gears.
an exciting era, and there was no better time to be playing FGO. And the
everyone bullied Barbatos at first.
Yep. Time was truly challenging and deserving of its hype. Or, you know, you can just cheese it.
I mean, it's true.
Okay. I gotta pause at this moment. I refused to use the Herc strap for so long. I tried to fight this guy legitimately for 3 hours. I raged against him, and I eventually just brought a Herc support.
Okay, Don. I don't know if you can put this on stream or not. That's the wrong channel. Look in collab text really quickly. For anyone who does not know what we mean by the Barbatos raid, Don knows. Don's probably gonna put something up.
No, I'm not, because this video is long enough as is, and that would take some time for me to just save the image and upload it. Bruh, indeed. Anyway, but yeah. I'll just say that people farmed this final singularity because it was a raid, and it dropped a lot of goodies.
Yeah.
You know, you can just cheese it. Anyways, after the main arc concluded, there were also 4 filler chapters. These are just whatever. I like some of them, but ultimately these chapters are optional. And so, Arc 2 of the main story, known as Cosmos...
I'm sorry, you're putting some disrespect on Shinjuku, Salem, and Shimosa. Those were fucking awesome.
Agartha was kind of bad, though.
Yeah, Agartha was kind of shit. Agartha was shit. How many Epic of Remnants were there? 4?
4. There's only 4.
So yeah, 3 out of 4. That's pretty good. I would rate it 4 from weakest to best,
Mimosa.
no, from weakest to best, I would say
weakest to best, Agartha.
Agartha.
Shinjuku.
No.
Shinjuku, Salem, and then Shimosa. That's my ranking.
I would say Salem next.
Salem was weak for you?
I never said anything about weak. Then
Okay,
Shimosa, and then
okay,
finally Shinjuku. I
Okay,
adored Shinjuku.
okay then.
No, I'm not saying that any of them except Agartha were bad. Like, I'd still put Salem as like an 8 out of 10 in terms of like stuff, but the only thing I don't like about Salem, if I had to pinpoint, it does feel like it drags a bit. Just a little bit. I still love it.
Okay.
I still love it. Don't get me wrong.
I do agree with you there, specifically with the plays.
Yeah.
These chapters
Like, I understand, but like...
And so, Arc 2 of the main story, known as Cosmos and the Lost Belt...
Wait, Lane has the same placements as me? Based.
Bro. Also, is it Cosmos of the Lost Belt?
Cosmo. I just call him the Lost Belt.
Teaming up with MASH, Sherlock Holmes, which I'm not sure how FGO got the license to use.
Oh, it is called
since
In the
his
Lost
attorney
Belt.
had to change it to Sherlock Sholmes.
What?
Pompous new director.
Yeah,
Da
that's the attorney
Vinci,
joke.
Who has turned into a lolly. Arc 2 is still ongoing to this day, even on the JP service.
I don't know these characters.
That's Lost Belt 7 stuff, don't worry about it.
In the second arc, the bosses
actually no, that was Ordeal Call.
Where you can only deplete a maximum of 1 bar per turn, so you can't just stack
How do you know
every
that?
buff in existence and blow away the boss.
It's called people post their screenshots online, and I keep seeing them by accident.
I know the events are scripted and it's really just sprites moving across the screen, but all these small touches really makes it feel like you're battling in the Fate universe.
Oh yeah,
something Arc 2 does really
battling
well,
the Masters
really
always feels like an event.
of hopelessness.
Yeah.
You barely escape from Chaldea, you're in a foreign snowy region, and you don't know how close or how many the enemies are. One moment you're up against...
Oh yeah, Lost Belts are tense as fuck.
Then you're trying to take down the Olympian gods. There are animated cutscenes now, and some of the Lost Belts, especially the later ones, are genuinely very well written. Lost Belt 6 represents such a bombshell that if someone argued it was the best story arc in a gacha game ever, I would not even contest it. On the JP side...
I have to agree. Lost Belt 6, without going into any spoilers whatsoever, one of the greatest fictional stories I've ever read. I am giving it that praise right now. And one of the reasons I've even considered streaming the story again with me and Lane voicing it is just so others can see it and just so Lane can see it. But then I realized that would take about half as long as going through the Fate Stay Night visual novel.
Oh, more, probably.
Oh no, the ads? Sorry about that. I can't really control that.
These 7 Lost Belts have ended, but there was a new sub-arc called Ordeal Call that continues Part 2. The basic takeaway is that FGO has some of the strongest story writing in gacha gaming.
It does.
Getting into the later chapters. It is very good. The only thing is that if you are interested in diving into the lore, there's no skip function to go straight to the Lost Belts. You have to slog through the early chapters first. We will talk about that later.
Didn't they just change that for the anniversary?
Not that I know of.
I could have sworn they did.
But for now, let's start the critique. Strap in, this is a long one. For the remainder of the video, I will be giving the usual below, within, or above expectations rating for each section, starting with progression. I will critique FGO with the exact same metrics as any other gacha games I have reviewed.
Oh boy.
I do not care about any limitations with FGO's shoddy engine. If a common feature is not available based on 2024 standards, then I will simply say that it's missing that feature.
Oh dear.
To my standards. It's up to Masengo or Aniplex to address the problems that the game may have. I feel the need
He's
to
gonna talk about
clarify this
auto,
because
isn't
I know
he?
people will say that some of
Possibly.
those problems can be excused since the game engine is so old. I personally disagree. Since Aniplex makes so much money from this game, it should be a reasonable assumption that they do have the budget and the capability of addressing some of them. And it would be unfair to make an exception to FGO when the same standards were held to all the other games.
Those
The
faces.
gameplay may be from another era, meaning the core loop cannot be changed, and that is fine. I actually think in terms of the UI's aesthetics, it's oddly old school and unique. FGO is a turn-based visual novel style gacha, and it should stay that way. There's a reason I don't judge the gameplay in my reviews. I can't simply say that an open world game is better than a visual novel. That would be comparing apples and oranges. No one wants to fundamentally change FGO into an open world or shooter game. When someone compares one of FGO's features to another game, what you need to understand is that they're not comparing the premise and genre of them. They are comparing the quality and standard when it comes to handling that feature, of what they, including myself, believe should be reasonable expectations. For example, developer
I feel bad I
feedback.
can't get Summer
How
Martha.
often does the development
Summer
team
Martha,
respond to players and improve
Princess
upon
Martha.
what's there? It doesn't
Not very often. Not very often, to put it lightly. That's why it was such a shock that they changed the servant coin system. Like their way of addressing the players are these occasional, like, Chaldea Diary things. But they really don't address the players directly that much.
No, they don't. And if they do, they usually meme it, like in the April Fools.
Now the question is, do they address it more or less than Genshin?
That's gonna be hard.
It's not a good thing.
doesn't matter what genre of game it is, developer responsiveness is universally important for building goodwill and trust of the player base. How about a crossplay feature? Players should be able to seamlessly carry their progress to another device and continue playing from there. Doesn't
Oh yeah. Okay, Don. Okay, Don. I do have something to say about the responsiveness to players. Remember when they gave us one Blue Rider gem?
Say what?
You not remember when they gave us one Blue Rider gem as compensation?
For what?
For maintenance.
Oh yeah. Actually, no, I don't remember that.
You don't remember the Blue Rider gem incident?
No, I don't.
Okay. What's it? Okay.
What year was that?
That was like decently early in the game's life. Like I think this was like right before the Lost Belts.
I don't remember that.
Okay,
no matter what genre of game it is, crossplay is a standard modern feature in these mobile games. Not having it
never
doesn't
mind.
make
Okay.
FGO have its own unique
Okay,
identity.
so the Blue
It
Rider
makes
gem
it
joke
an
was apparently
inferior product.
was apparently a present given to us by Ozzy,
I would judge
by Ozzy
FGO
Mendes
based
during
on
an
my
event.
standards and expectations. You
Yeah.
might have a different set of standards and disagree.
It was
and
supposed
that
to be
is
quartz,
okay,
but they
this
messed it
is
up and
my
sent
review.
us a Blue Rider gem
So,
instead.
Progression in FGO. Let's talk about it. Using the time-gated currency called AP, you can use it to clear certain levels to gain.
I will say they give you
materials
more
for
than
progress
enough
in the story.
stuff
I
to
should
go
note
through the
it's one of those
story.
games where everything
definitely.
requires it. If you run out, you actually just can't do anything. Luckily, the game is quite generous with these apples that restore AP, but if you're a veteran, you'll know to save up these apples to farm certain events that have better drop rates. All servants can be ascended 4 times.
So, Josh, how much did that
Shut up!
thing here?
I knew you were going to. I knew you were going to bring it up. I knew you were going to bring it up. Continue the video. Continue the video. Yeah, people want context. They can ask context, but I am not replying to anything.
I actually wouldn't mind doing a learning with manga reaction with you. That could be fun.
And their default level cap depends on the rarity. 1 stars have a cap of level 60, 2 stars at
I'm not
65,
sorry, Josh.
3 stars at
Shut up.
70, 4 stars at 80, and 5 stars at 90.
90.
This
But you
means
can break
low rarity
them.
units get shafted pretty hard here, since their stats are going to be gimped. The majority of the low rarities considered good are either ones that give supportive buffs, taunters, or just kill themselves off so a better unit can take their place. For 3 of the Ascensions, you also unlock a new appearance for the servants' in-game sprites. And again, you can see that low rarities get gimped here since most of them just add an extra article of clothing while the SSRs change their sprites completely. Leveling servants use
That didn't really start happening until
which is
Comma, to
farmable
be
via
fair.
one of the daily
Yeah.
nodes. Except unlike a common currency like any other gacha game, embers physically take up a slot in your inventory. While this is usually not an issue most of the time, it's just a hassle to micromanage it, since all other gachas I play
Oh,
just have leveling materials.
Oh, it becomes an issue when you're leveling to 120!
I just store them in the sec.
Literally can take hours just clicking the same button.
Yeah.
It should not take me 1 to 2 hours to get my Arcuade from 100 to 120 if I have all the stuff.
Stop flexing about your Arcuade, Don. I hate you.
Okay, then I'll flex about my Melusine.
I don't care about Melusine.
As a currency. Speaking of which, FGO does have QP as its common gold currency for pretty much any types of upgrades. This is again farmed via one of the daily nodes. The numerous other upgrade materials are either farmed via a free quest in the game world or purchased from the shop, usually during events. Most will argue that it's best to hold out until an event sells them, since it's typically not so AP efficient if you do farm it manually and drops are not guaranteed, so you can literally run through the level multiple times just to get nothing. There is a separate type of upgrade cards called FOMO, which you can feed to a servant to permanently raise their base stats. You can feed up to 1,000
I always just called
points
them
of
foes.
I just
for
called them
HP
foes,
and
yeah.
attack respectively. You can raise it for another 1,000 with gold FOMO, which is given out a bit more infrequently. When leveling skills,
A lot
the cooldown of the
more
skill is
infrequently.
increased by 1 turn whenever the skill hits level 6 and 10, which is the maximum, and I don't believe there has been an exception to this rule. Craft essences can also be leveled and limit broken, lower rarities having a lower cap than the higher ones. These can give either HP or attack, or
You
a
basically only
combination
use
of
these
both.
for
You can
craft
level them
essence
by
bombs.
using other CEs or
Yeah.
specific XP CEs. If you pull multiple copies of a unit, you can upgrade their NP level, which increases the damage, assuming that it actually does damage, or the potency of any buffs or debuffs. The NP
Yeah, like
level can
MP2
go up to a
Castoria.
maximum of 5, but the
I'm
biggest
so
change
surprised
would
I
be
got
from
in one
NP
multi.
level 1 to 2, which grants the most amount of damage increase, while the later ones slowly give diminishing returns. NP levels will also increase the default overcharge limit so that you can raise your NP gauge above 100%. Since some
I like
rarities
that.
are pretty good too, you can basically just imagine
Yeah,
this as a
Shufu is
free.
actually a pretty
Each of
good,
the servant's 5 cards can also
pretty
be
good,
used
He's budget
There
Castoria.
are
Yeah,
for a
budget
reason.
small
Castoria.
boosts whenever that card is used, like generating stars or NP.
I will be honest, I do not use command codes that much. With the
I
exception of burning with Honey Lake.
I'm gonna be honest. I do not use command codes either.
It takes too much time to equip them for me. It's just like I got strong enough servants. My NP5 Melusine can bulldoze through anything, so
Afflicting a
Well,
status
well,
effect is
in
so
my
hard.
case, I'm just
Command
confused on how to
codes can
use
be
them.
obtained via clearing certain event quests. Some of them pulled on the
Although I
front
will
end
say,
Gacha too.
I-
Most of the time, these
I-
are
I'm not
small upgrades to
dismissing
your
them,
characters,
just-
but there are a couple units that can benefit
They-
a lot from
they don't
these,
really
such
do
as
that
Robin
much
Hood,
for me.
who deals more damage to targets afflicted with poison. A servant's command cards can be strengthened by using an item called Beast's Footprint. You can get one of these every
Those are
I-
on login.
I
Like
need
most
to use
players,
those
this
more.
don't even
I'm
exist.
just
I call them-
In
lazy.
case a certain card
call
is
them
used by that
footballs.
unit a lot, you can put upgrades into this. You can increase the max level cap of a servant to 100 using Holy
this is
Grails,
the worst
which
mechanic.
increases by 5 levels when
Yeah.
used before level.
No, what's the worst mechanic, Josh? You mean the fact that you can
You can use servant coins to make grails.
and
That
that's
you
why
already
you
have thousands
only
of.
and that's why you only use free-to-play servant coins. You never use your limited servant coins. Never. Also, I feel bad because you don't get the ability to make grails monthly until you basically beat Vitch's story, which is right after Lost Belt 6. So
I know.
yeah, that's a pretty nice quality of life update.
And I'm still getting
locked
stu- I'm
behind
still-
story.
And I'm still stuck behind. I'm still stuck in Lost Point 5.5.
I mean, Lost Belt, like 5.5.
Yeah.
Wait, do you mean Olympus or?
Olympus, yes.
Okay, because 5.5 is actually Hankyo.
Oh, is it?
Level 19
Okay.
and
Yeah.
2
Well, never
levels
mind
after that.
Kama!
Absolute maximum of level 120, but it takes an absurd amount of resources in another currency called servant coins belonging to that
Oh,
respective
boy.
servant. Now here's a new type of upgrade that not everyone was pleased with. With the introduction of servant coins, you can also unlock something called append skills for each unit. Essentially just 3 new passive abilities to enhance them even more.
3
Starting each encounter
passives.
with their MP gauge partially
You're only
full.
gonna use
These can be
one,
leveled to 10,
maybe
same as
2.
normal skills.
You're only
Except
gonna
you
use
get
2
servant
after
coins by
JP.
increasing the bond
But
level, whereby-
actually, I will correct myself on that. Because of how JP updated it, you will probably use 1 to 2, maybe 3. They did make it where you get a lot more servant coins now for,
Hopefully.
yeah.
pulling additional copies. As it currently stands, you actually can't get enough coins to unlock
hi.
everything unless you pull additional copies above the maximum
Okay,
amount
please
of
actually
MP
show us what
levels
this is.
for 4 and 5 stars. This wasn't a very popular move since the game essentially increased the level of grind you have to do for each servant.
Yeah, you
without
basically need
actually offering
NP6
any kind of new
to max out a
significant content.
servant.
You're not forced to do it
Yeah.
by any means, but you'll have to live with the fact that what used to be the theoretical maximum now has its bar raised, and your beloved level 100 servant is no longer performing at their absolute best. Lastly, there are bond levels, which functionally doesn't change much
Speaking of which.
gameplay-wise, but unlocks new voice lines in the menu. At bond level 10, you get a unique bond CE for that servant.
That is
This
cool,
is
but-
widely debated as a questionable mechanic.
Doesn't
since
do
the
much.
Stats on that CE is
Borges!
fixed and gimped
Borges
to provide
representation.
less bonuses than a normal CE. The majority of them are not used, but there are some that are pretty good. An easy solution is to
Astorias.
just add the effects of the CE as an additional passive ability, but that would actually require work from Lasengo's end. You can increase the bond
Lasagna.
past level 10, but
I love how he's using Oberon,
Aldea,
because
which
everyone's
is
gonna have this guy at Bond
These
15
are
at
the
some
ways you can
point.
beef up
I have him at Bond
When you
11.
complete daily quests and through other means, you get a currency called mana prisms, which can be spent in the monthly shop rotation for resources. When you pull an additional copy of a servant that is max limit broken, that is also a 4 or 5 star, you get units of rare prism. Normally, free-to-plays won't get a lot of these, but they occasionally get
I
a
have
few during
8.
events and campaigns.
I have
You can also set a
54.
friend support list for other
I
players
have
to use,
8.
equipped with their own CEs. When someone uses your servants, you get friend points or FP, which can be used to
I get a
farm
bunch of
FP
friend points because I have all the meta
in due
supports.
time, though. Now,
I
progression
have
in FGO
2.
can be a bit weird. If we exclude the daily farming nodes for Embers or QP, the ideal way to gain these resources efficiently is by just waiting for specific events that have better drop rates, such as raids or lotto events. Now, this is fine, except this game is primordial and there's no quick farm or sweep function. You could painstakingly do each level the normal way, but there is a better method. From community efforts,
Here
you
it
can
is.
do something called 3-turn farming. where
Here
you
it
There we
is.
go.
Damage dealer and a meta support.
The
And if you
bookie,
bring
yep.
another meta support from your front list, the idea is that since buffs last 3 turns and there are usually 3 waves of enemies, if there's a way to use a damage dealing NP every turn for 3 turns, you could beat the level with minimum effort and clear time. As of now, there are multiple ways to achieve this. With each of the 3 card types, though, quick is a little bit scuffed. You'll have to
Yeah.
one of these meta supports
Yeah.
to rate up, but getting one of them can make your life significantly easier.
Speaking of
Even
which.
with
I love how he points
because
out
the general
Oberon
user
specifically.
AP apples for these events, it's still going to take quite a while to tap away and use up all of it. And you technically don't have to do this, but because the value of these rates and lotto events are so huge, this is what the community would generally advise you to do for progression.
Yeah.
Since NA is 2 years behind JP, you can literally predict which events will come out at roughly what time and prepare for them. Progression is the least of FGO's concerns. I know there's some quality of life features missing, like auto farm or fusion mechanics to craft certain materials, but the grind is pretty par for the course for a gacha game. It gets a within expectations rating from me. In terms
Oh,
of
wow.
progression alone, I think it's fine, but the idea for waiting for specific events to progress faster is admittedly quite unique in the gacha space, but I don't think it's deserving of a failing grade. Okay, so that last portion you just heard there was the original version of the script. However, now that the 9th anniversary announcements have
Oh,
come
no.
out, an egregious thing they did was adding 2
Oh, this is not going to age well because
This
they
is-
fixed it already.
Yeah, they refunded you all your coins as well.
Yep. Shima, you probably don't know, but for FGO 9th anniversary, they added 2 extra appends. One which is crit damage up automatically, and the other which is way more important, skill cooldowns. If you max out that 5th one right here, you can use 3 skills and they will all have 1 cooldown.
Yeah.
So, another way to put this, you could not use Arcuade for 3-turn farming with Fitch Oberon. It is not possible. But now with this, you can actually reduce the cooldown of her NP charge skill, and now you can actually use Oberon with her, which dramatically increases her power. Yeah, only once per battle.
Yeah.
Like, let's put it this way. If you, at least I think this is how it works. If you use Arcuade's NP charge skill, that will now be on a 6-turn cooldown instead of a 7-turn cooldown. If you use any of your other skills after that, their cooldown goes down by 1. But if you don't use any of the other skills and you use your NP charge skill again, that will go down by an additional 1 turn once you're able to use it again. Although there's a very low chance of you being able to use the same skill like that 3 times in a row.
Yeah, unless you have like cooldown reductions.
Yeah,
which is why you use
let me put it this way, Shima. It changed the meta quite significantly.
Yes, and also for those who did a whole joke of like using the 3rd append and maxing it out. Yeah, they were kind of fucked over.
Yeah, see, here's the problem. They didn't change the servant coins initially. So, a running joke until they fixed it was you needed Bond 15, NP8, 5 stars. Wait, got Diva in the bot? Oh, nice.
Nice. I would have gotten her, but I'm busy with this.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, you would need NP8, Bond 15 in order to max out the appends.
Yeah.
And let's just say
it did not go over well. That was the biggest community backlash from all types of players, especially the Leviathans. They were flat out saying, that's what makes it worse. Okay, here's a perspective for me. I have Melusine at level 120. And I have their extra attack skill, extra attack append, and their NP charge at max. That's the most I can use out of their servant coins. When this was added, and the whole crit damage up, as well as skill cooldown came into effect, I was so pissed off. Because that would have been so much more powerful in certain instances compared to just, extra attack.
Yeah.
And here's another thing. This 3rd append skill, no one, hardly anyone uses it. But here's the thing. The thing is, people that really, really love their servants will go for NP6 just to max out that 3rd append skill, which is usually something dumb like increased damage against casters. It's usually very lore specific.
It's very lore specific. Sometimes it's like
for example, Summer Kiara's is, I believe, additional damage against casters, which is supposed to be a fuck you to Hans.
Yeah, what in the off chance you do that,
it was useless. So this update, keep in mind, imagine the people that did roll for NP6. And they have this worthless... wait. Noir just rolled 2 wishlist characters for Vene and Fluffy? Nice. Once I'm done with this rant, I need to roll as well. Anyway, imagine that you have maxed out this 3rd skill here. It's useless. But you did it just to say, I completed my servant.
And then this comes out.
And not only can you not unlock it, people were saying it heavily decentivized leveling your servant to 120 because you need servant coins for that. So many people were going, oh, I regret not only unlocking the 3rd append skill, but also getting them to 120 because that skill cooldown, I could have dramatically increased the power of my servant with that.
Not to mention, we don't have universal servant coins.
Yeah, we still don't have universal servant coins. Lasagna, get on that. Anyway, at first they tried to fix it a few days later by making it, oh, you can switch appends now, which was a band-aid, but it still helped. But the community was still upset. So recently, as in like a few days ago, they actually did address it where you're given far more additional servant coins from Bond 7 and up so that it actually makes up for the difference. So you no longer need to roll NP8 for 5 stars.
Yeah.
You basically need to roll the same amount that you did before this update. And
then... no, go ahead.
But yeah, it was a very good update because now it's just like, oh, even if you don't want that 5th append skill, well, maybe it's now a lot easier for you to actually level 120 your own servants. So with that update, they changed what was a PR disaster into actually a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what the worst part is? This did not feel like an update for... This felt very greedy. Like, this felt like a company update rather than like...
Oh, yeah.
Something...
Oh, yeah. That is what a lot of people said. If you actually look at when Tucson announced this, he looked very pained as if he knew this wasn't going to go over well.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably suggested the idea for universal servant coins for this.
And they probably said no.
No, because guess what? They want to be greedy little fucks.
Yeah. But
and then
even
happened?
FGO players had a limit for this, and I'm glad because this is the first time that they managed to actually make a difference with the game, which is a actual first for the company.
And then we got Sporeshkagel.
Oh my gosh, this video is going to be so fucking long.
Good luck, editor/Emmy.
No, there's not gonna be any editing for this. I'm just gonna post it a few weeks later. To respect their wishes. Anyway, let's keep going. I'm gonna roll on the bot now.
New append skills. One that increases the crit damage, and another that literally reduces the cooldown of a unit's skills for one time. This is actually kind of a big deal. For my 2 years of playing, I never really gave it that much thought, since one copy of an SSR is enough to unlock one append skill, and typically it wouldn't be that big of a bonus anyways, and I was willing to give it a pass. Now though, this has changed. If we assume that no changes are made to the servant coin system, this makes it so that if you want to max out a servant, you literally have to pull multiple copies of them to do so. I understand there's usually a way for players to limit break units in a gacha game for more power, but this is too much. Not only are the limit breaks more desirable than before, you have to spend more resources and time grinding away at it. I will touch on the 9th anniversary announcements again near the end of the video. I was originally going to bump down the rating, but given they were able to respond to the situation by allowing you to transfer an append skill in place of another, it's at least something. I don't know if any changes will come to the servant coin system. It hasn't...
Well, thankfully they did.
Done so for the past 2 years. I'll stick with the original rating, but just know this is teetering very close. Gacha and monetization.
Oh boy.
Here we go. FGO is infamously known for its brutal gacha system.
Kiara,
Even
yep.
long-term players will nod their heads and agree, saying,
Remember when summoning Kiara had a very cool, unique animation all to herself?
Yeah, everyone has one now.
No, don't say that, Josh. Don't say that. Only the special ones have something like that now.
yeah, we know, it's hell. But just how bad is it? Well, aside from the friend point gacha, where 1 and 2 stars come from, FGO has had the almost iconic 1% 5-star drop chance, and a 3% for 4 stars. You roll using the
That's
gacha
been
currency
boosted.
Saint Quartz, and each pull costs 3 units, with a free pull for every 10th time you roll on it. See, at its launch, if you looked at the cash shop to buy quartz with real money, it actually gave you a lesser amount versus what we have now.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. That is something they changed later.
Yeah.
Okay, Josh, funny story time.
Yay.
So, how do you think I felt when, I bought all these quartz, and then, after I had bought all those quartz, it updated that.
Oh.
That was, my first year of playing the game, and that's a very painful memory. The only thing more painful is how shit my luck was at Summer 1. Didn't get a single gold.
Yeah.
With 400 to 500 quartz, FGO's gacha can be brutal.
Yep. Again, there's a reason people say that's hell you're walking into.
Yep, because it is absolutely hell you're walking into.
Yeah, even with the
At
boosted
current time,
raids.
This quartz top-up shop is the only place you can spend money on the game. There's no daily deals or flash sales that may tempt you. This is also the only gacha game reviewed so far that does not have a 30-day welcome or battle pass system.
Thank God.
No, shut up! Shut the frick up, Josh! You have any idea how much I want something like that in this game, and I would gladly do it over just consistently wailing. I would save so much money.
Don, I have like 5 games that I'm playing with a battle pass.
I don't care! This is about me, fuck you.
This is not your stream, this is my stream now.
This is my stream.
This is my...
I would love a thing that gives you like, I don't know, 2 quartz or something if you pay $5 for a month, or a battle pass or something. It's just like, I would legit welcome that compared to just buying quartz in bulk.
Okay, Don, I'm gonna sound like an asshole right now. Okay, I would not mind this mechanic if it took, let's say, what's it called? Let's say it takes like 60 quartz for a battle pass, okay, and then it gives you like 120 quartz as if you fully complete it, basically. I feel like that would be good. I feel like that would be good because that's something that Master Duel does, where it pays for itself and more. I feel like that would be better.
I
Than just
didn't even know you still
money.
play Master Duel.
No, I don't. I just remember all the mechanics from it.
Huh.
Was it? But yeah, that's how the battle pass works on there and on Pokemon, where you basically get either the exact same amount of premium currency you put in, or you get double, plus some benefits.
The thing is, Josh, you would probably want a battle pass considering how low you are on mats. I wouldn't need it on that front. I would just get it for the quartz.
Okay, Don, I'm gonna say this. I would love the battle pass if it gave pure prisms.
Why?
I would love it if the battle pass gave pure prisms, quartz, and embers. However, again, I would prefer it to what's it called? You would buy it with same quartz rather than buy it with money. Because I don't want to spend like $14 for the battle pass. I really don't.
I mean, battle passes are usually like $10 if we go by Hoyoverse standards. But then again,
I mean, look at what's on screen right now.
Fair enough.
Whether you think it's out of goodwill or out of incompetence for not knowing how to monetize
Incompetence.
the game, what lies is a fact that if you do spend money on the game, you have to do it here. In
Yeah, it's
other
pretty
words,
much competence.
you know exactly what you're doing. As for the SSR rate up, there is a 0.8% chance to drop, or 80% of the 1% overall chance.
Yeah.
But this actually used to be only 0.7% in the past,
Yep.
and the free 11th poll didn't exist. For the
Yep.
rate SR, there is a 1.5% or 50-50 coin flip of it being the rate up, but this has increased to 2.1% as of the 7th anniversary. After 330 polls, if you still have not received the rate up SSR, you are guaranteed to pull it. If you're wondering why it's 330, that's due to the 11th free poll after 30 multis, or the equivalence of 900 SQ. What's more, the pity is disabled when you pull the first copy of the rate up, and it does not carry over to the next banners. I'm just gonna straight out
Oh, wait, you know what? I'll let him cook.
say it. This is a laughable excuse of a pity system. Okay, so this is a last-minute addition, but as of the announcements of the 9th anniversary,
I was about to bring that
the
up.
pity system still doesn't carry over across banners, but it's no longer disabled after one trigger. It's still 900 quartz for the limit, so baby steps, am I right? See, there's a popular
good.
saying in the player base: you don't choose the servant. The servant
chooses you.
A couple
Yep.
years ago, this pity system actually didn't even exist. If you are not able to pull the rate up, then you better keep trying until you do. Not only that, it was common for a rate up banner to feature multiple 4-star characters, and the rate up would rotate on a daily basis or every 2 days. Players would roll on the banner when their desired 4-star
Yep.
rate up, since the chance to pull it is 1.5%, half of the 3%.
Hi,
But
Crimmy.
when the pity was
Hello,
introduced,
Grimhilder.
banners now split the rate up
I call her
chance
Crimmy.
for 2 4-star servants, meaning the individual rates to pull either is now split even more. I look at the many forums where players weren't able to pull
Oh,
one
no!
copy of their desired unit, even
Pain,
after
Pecco.
and spending an obscene amount of money. And I just
We are all united by our salt in FGO. It doesn't matter if you're a Leviathan, if you're a whale, if you're a free-to-play. We are all united by our salt because, sure, whales and Leviathans can get what they want, but at what cost to their money? And meanwhile, with free-to-plays, they have the constant stress of wondering, oh, do I have enough quartz? Imagine if FGO had something as generous as Hoyoverse's, like, pity system. Where you lose a 50-50 and then you're guaranteed the next one.
Yeah.
Or even just, oh, you get what you want within 18 multis.
Yeah.
thought to myself, this is literally
Hi,
just a
Scotty.
PNG file. You're spending hundreds of dollars for this? Now, I've seen some pretty brain-dead takes
It's a
on this
pretty
matter, saying
PNG
that
file.
FGO's
A
rates
very
are
pretty
fair and
PNG file.
generous. You know what
Yeah.
I say in response? Bullshit.
Hi, Gardner.
Agreed.
Total pity that gets
Hi, Gardner.
disabled after one
Actually, wait,
use
have you
and
not been
requires
spooked by Karna yet?
300 pulls to activate.
Now I have
Ask
Karna,
yourself
NP2
this,
Karna.
Is this really
Okay.
acceptable in 2020?
Skaha.
Nikkei has the Spark system where you can hang on to these mileage tickets for as many and for as long as you want, traded for 200 per rate-up character. Limbus Company's top-up packs are so generous that the $1 pack can buy you 10 daily pulls with the first top-up bonus.
Damn!
In Reverse 1999, after an SSR goes on an initial banner for 3 patches, they're added to the permanent pool. So Tooth Fairy release in 1.2.
I believe that's
will
also
be
what Blue
able to
Archive
speak
does.
And we
from
still don't
1.5
have
and
any
onwards.
limited 5
I myself
stars
have a set of standards
on
when it
a
comes to how
standard.
the Gacha system is handled. There's a reason FGO is the butt of every joke
Oh, hi,
when it
Van
comes
Gogh.
to this. Well, the rates are bad, but at least it's not as bad as FGO. That quartz count better read 900, or else you ain't guaranteeing anything.
Hi, Seth.
Despite all of this, FGO has one of the
Actually,
most
is it she or
dedicated
Seth?
and committed fan bases I've seen. During its peak in
We
2017,
did. There is a
FGO was leading
committed
the top charts
fan
in terms
base.
of revenue. So even without a pity system, watching people throwing away their money at this game is unimaginable to see. When your live chat literally tells you to stop pulling and pay rent instead, maybe it really is time to stop. This is when Gacha games were relatively underground, but
Don, if we ever get to that point, I am physically getting a ticket and slapping you.
Hold on, I need to see what he said.
When Gacha games were relatively underground, but while you hear about the rise of loot boxes or grinding battle passes, FGO went completely under the radar by major Western news outlets. Despite this game has insane retention of its existing player base. Like a sad case of Stockholm Syndrome, there is a sizable section of players that no matter how poorly the game treats them, they will keep playing.
It is
keep coming
Stockholm
back
Syndrome.
like cockroaches. I've seen players announce that they will save up for the next 2 years, then go all in on one servant that they saw on the Japanese server.
This person right here. I'm guilty of that.
Okay, I'm going to say
now,
this.
Now, not by 2 years. Not by 2 years, granted.
Okay, I'm gonna say this, Don. Okay, so the servant that I want, that I really want, is coming out early next year with Lost Belt 7. I am waiting. I can't wait to get her. And then I'm gonna cry if I don't get her. Anyways, continue.
Okay. Anyway, here's little sis Apollon.
That is true dedication. It should be made clear that not getting what you want after diligently saving up for months feels absolutely disheartening. It feels like the game is not respecting your time and dedication.
Because it's not.
In today's gacha scene, a pity is the one trump card that you have as a player. It's the safety net to catch you in case you get screwed by bad RNG. And in my opinion, is considered a standard to have. I've stated this in a previous video, but if a gacha game I reviewed does not have a pity system, then it's an instant failing grade for this. The pity is the light.
I'm so surprised I got summer comma, by the way.
No matter how atrocious your luck is, you can at least see the finishing line in the distance.
Actually, that reminds me, here's my ticket.
Then aren't you just gambling?
I will. Let's go gambling!
The rate up is unlikely, but the chance of it is not 0. I know this because it's actually happened to me once. It's like a creeping sense of anxiety that you know that you can throw hundreds, if not thousands of dollars at the game, and it will refuse you to give you what you want. It has happened before, and it will keep happening. Going back and looking at some
Wait, that was missed. How much was that?
And it will
50 quartz.
Time sync quartz 450. No, Josh, that's 4,050 quartz.
Yeah, that's why I said 40-50.
How much is that?
Enough
where I don't want to know.
Happening. Going back and
I want to say 300-ish.
No Castoria, 840 quartz.
Damn, are you okay?
I am the bone of my soul.
But then again, before I start pointing fingers at people accusing them of having gambling problems, part of the blame does lie with you. You kind of chose to buy into this system, so
you did do this, Don.
If you believe this game isn't respecting your time and money, yet you keep playing it, that's on you.
Don't mind me who has FGO open right now. You did this to yourself, Don.
Without a pity system,
hey, Buki.
then I'm still gonna go, damn, you just gambled away $80. When I saw my same quartz count go from 1,400 to 500, I thought to myself, what if something like this happens again? What if I save up to, let's say, 800 quartz, go for my next target, and then they just don't show up? How would I feel about the hundreds of resources that I piled up? How would I feel about the billions of QP that I have and nowhere to...
I can answer that for you, good sir. I felt that with, Alter Ego Kiara. I did not get her at first.
Yeah.
That was back before the pity system existed.
Yeah.
I was very sad, and Vene had to bail my ass out with one max quartz pack, and I only got her in the second to last multi. I wanted her so bad that I dreamed I got her the night I failed. I was okay. Hey. This was before I even met you.
No, Don. I want to say this. This actually happened to me, except I actually got NP2 Ibuki. I dreamt that I was rolling, and I got Ibuki on my second 30 multi, and then her second copy was like 500 quartz away.
Yeah. Anyway, we all agree this gacha is ass.
Spend it. It's not the same as having a mileage system where the pity is retained. If you want to maximize the chances of your desired targets, you can't even try to dip into other banners. I also want to talk about the exclusivity of some servants. The majority of the shiny 5-stars are limited, meaning you have to wait until a rerun of them to have a chance of obtaining them. There are a couple
which can take 2 to 3 years.
Standard pool, and there's also the weird story-locked servants, where they can drop as part of the story banner, which is permanently available.
The story lock servants thing is one of the absolute dumbest things. Basically makes it where you can't even roll Artoria Altar unless she's on raid up. It's who the fuck rolls on story banner? Early game players.
Early game idiots.
I mean, to be fair, that's what I did a few times until I learned better.
Except they are blended in with the standard pool as well. So even if you waste your quartz rolling on this banner and get a 5-star, you are not guaranteed to get a story-locked servant. You could just get spooked by
Shima, I only got Nero a few months ago when I was rolling on a raid-up banner for her.
Even 3-stars locked behind limited banners. This game is home to some of the most diverse and well-designed characters.
I'm so sorry, Garrett. You could have been so much better.
I think it's such a shame that these stingy rates make getting most of them extremely inaccessible.
Yep.
For the record, in case I forget later, there is an item called the Unregistered Spirit Origin, or USO for short.
Oh
where
boy.
You can exchange 10 of them for a on-rate-up character. How do you get USOs? That's the neat part. You don't. Only if you pull an additional copy of a 5-star that you have already max limit broken can you actually get one. Due to the stingy nature of the gacha system, only mega whales will be able to take advantage of this mechanic. Even if you gave a free USO for every player, it will be completely useless for like 95% of them. In terms of other types of monetization, as stated before, there is no such thing as a 30-day supply or battle pass. FGO came out before the craze of battle passes in the 2017 period.
A 30-day supply would be so good for this game.
That would be so good. If it was a
way for low spenders to dip into better resources, I would actually consider paying for it. The only valid way, or I guess 2 ways, is to buy the paid sync quartz for the daily paid pull, which is 66% off, but requiring a paid SQ instead. The other way is the
I completely forgot about that.
Twice a year, known as the GSSR, or
which everyone goes for.
These banners
there's no reason you should not go for this.
Pool of limited servants, and you are guaranteed to draw at least one of them at random.
Actually, that reminds me. What is this? What is this? Or what is New Year's?
They cost 15 paid quartz.
I think it's New Year's.
15 paid sync quartz will cost around $15 minus some uneven purchases with the packs. In the context of gacha games, $15 for a guaranteed limited SSR is a steal. You're basically robbing any Plex blind. Much of the player base will agree that pulling on the GSSR is a very good idea for a low spender. This year in NA, they brought an additional type of GSSR.
I will give praise to the Destiny Order.
By spending 30
this is so good.
You may select a roster of 5-star characters, one from each class, in which one of them will be summoned at random. The community loved this change. Look at the generosity of Lysango, allowing us to spend more of our money to build our own GSSR roster. So there's a couple things I want to bring up with this. The GSSRs, including the Destiny Summon one, are considered massively valuable deals. But consider why they're thought of this way in the first place. These deals feel like heaven when compared to attempting to pull one of them manually. The gacha game developer has full control over the rates and the exclusivity of its characters. The majority of 5-stars in the game are limited, which combined with the laughable pity system makes them quite rare to get. This is a problem that the game itself has invented. And the GSSR and the Destiny Summon banners? Well, that's something I like to call create the problem, sell the solution. The generosity of other gacha devs, such as in Nikkei, where when you use even free gems to pull a certain amount of times during the New Year banner, it will give you an SSR selector that lets you get a copy of any non-limited character. Because the vast majority of units enter the standard pool immediately, you could choose from about 90% of the entire roster. This selector could be obtained by using free gems. So don't come in here and argue that FGO has a generous or fair gacha system.
No, it doesn't. No, it does not.
Whoever says that is a liar.
They are lying.
Something else I noticed is that if you go into
the only The only exception is the guaranteed SSR and Destiny order. That is the only time where it's just like, oh yeah, that's a freaking steal. Because for context, not even Hoyoverse games do this.
Yeah.
Well, actually, maybe Honkai Impact 3 does something like it. Actually, yeah. Yeah, Honkai Impact 3 does usually give out some kind of older 5-star.
The gacha menu of any gacha game, you can preview the kits of the unit, but that doesn't seem to be the case in FGO. So here's a question for you.
I didn't even think of that.
I am a new player. I see that there is a rate-up banner on the 5-star character John Alter, or often abbreviated as Jolter in the community. Let's say that I'm interested in the design of this character, but I want to know what her entire kit looks like, including passives, skills, and append skills, so that I can make an informed decision whether or not I want to commit.
I didn't even think of that.
How do I do that? See, on the gacha screen, there's no tab or info page that reveals Jolter's kit, only a page explaining the rates. There's none of that in the news section that goes over each rate-up character except for what their noble phantasm does. So how do I get that information then? Because
online,
in all the gachas I've played at this point, the entire kit is outlined in the gacha page for you to view, including their stats and skills. I am grasping at straws here, but maybe if I go into the servant roster, I can maybe pull up Jolter's kit. Except you can't see the profile of a servant that you don't own. The only feasible way to see it is by going into the friend list, find someone that has Jolter, then tap and hold on it to see the profile. See, whenever a new servant gets announced on the JP server, they showcase their NP animation, and they show what it does on a stream, but they don't actually show their full kit. Only when players pull that character can that information be added to the wiki. So here's my challenge to you. When the next servant releases on JP, make a servant guide on that unit, but you can only use information given in-game.
Oh no!
Not anything up on a third-party wiki.
You know Lasagna's not gonna do that.
That's what I thought. You, of course, will want all the information you can on a unit before making the decision to pull for them or not. If you are making a guide, you, of course, will want other people to know all the information about a servant before recommending them to pull or not. It is truly, truly baffling that information crucial to how a character works is not displayed in-game. I'll even show an example. Earlier this year, FGO did a collab with MaHoYo, a visual novel franchise belonging to the same Type Moon universe. There was a 5-star character called Kuonji Alice. So if I go to the official FGO J.
One sec.
Chad, what do I do? The mastermind's gone. This has become my stream.
For the news announcement regarding the
I'm not unediting that pause.
Theoretically, I should be able to get all the information I need, right? Okay, let's scroll down. Alright, so here we can see Alice's max HP and attack.
Alice's noble phantasm is disturbing.
A link to an animation. But where are the skills? What about the passives? What about the append skills? It should be reasonable to expect that information from the official site, right? Because if you can't, don't you find it a little odd that you can't actually see what you're potentially spending real money for? Here's Reverse 1999, another turn-based visual novel gacha that allows for 3 actions per turn. If we click on the magnifying glass on the rate of SSR, we can see their full deck, the upgrades, the Ascension passive, the raw stats, and even their limit break buffs, including the full numbers of what gets upgraded.
FGO ain't looking so good here.
4 stars. Oh look, we get the exact same thing. Some gachas even let you take.
It's making me realize that the gacha is even worse than I thought.
FGO does put out a test trial for a new servant, like the anniversary or the New Year ones, but why not just put one out there for every character that goes on a banner? There's a few lines I want to draw that a gacha game should never cross.
Some are used in story.
The game should make it very clear what your money is buying you. I think the fact that you literally have to look up the information on an external site to get the full details is, in my opinion, a little shady. So with all these components in mind, it's only natural that I give a below expectations rating for this section. However, I do want to give a few suggestions on how the system can improve, no matter how slow
the worst lancer in the game
are. First, the
actually no, he's actually a decent looper now. Ever since he got like a skill upgrade or noble phantasm upgrade, one of the two.
Yeah.
Okay, what was he saying?
Have its pity implemented are. First, the pity will carry over across banners, and
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing, but it wouldn't
the equivalent
happen.
of 600 sane quartz as opposed to 900. The 200 pulse mileage is quite common these days, and even then, this is still on the stingier side given most gachas are below this limit for pity anyways. Third, after a certain amount of time has elapsed, a 5 or 4 star
That's
will
never
move into the
happening.
standard pool.
That's never
This is something,
happening.
again,
There's-
getting quite common in gacha games these days. Because I think it's such a shame.
No, it
because
really
FGO
isn't.
has
At
a
least
lot
not
of
with
cool designs
Hoyoverse.
for servants, even for the
Other
lower
gachas,
rarities.
specifically.
Some of them are definitely showing their age, and I'm sure a lot of players would appreciate classics
Yeah,
like
putting
Cleopatra
Gil
or
in the
Gilgamesh
permanent pool would be
becoming
interesting.
summonable as part of the permanent pool. The wait time can be like a year. Lysango can keep their
No.
units and their favorites as truly limited, but after a year, most SSRs will be able to spook you. Get rid of the story locked mechanic. Why
Yes!
does this even
Yes!
exist? You have to keep the
100%
story locked
agree.
when you pull on the banner. So if you wanted a specific one, you would have to wait until that character goes on raid up anyways. Or alternatively, just give players a different type of summoning tickets for this banner exclusively, so they don't
Yeah.
waste their resources on the story banner, like 5 freebie monthly pulls for it. So yeah,
That would be
FGO
good.
Gacha,
That would be
very
nice.
infamous. To sum it up briefly, that's how you're walking into.
Yeah.
Next up, presentation. For the record,
This should be
I
interesting.
judge gacha games for 2 primary aspects: gameplay and story. Well, technically music
Fucking
too.
spam callers,
Gameplay and
goddammit.
music are both pretty subjective. As long as there's nothing glaringly wrong with it, then I don't
Right
have a
on.
problem. The story, well, I don't think a gacha game needs to have a good story to be a good game, like how people play Epic 7 for the PvP. Story is second priority. This section on presentation mainly covers the
Wait, I know
technicalities
this
of the
music.
visuals, the UI, the smoothness of the player experience, and so on. Let's start with the framework that FGO was built on. Because of the initial cash grab nature of the game, the engine was hastily strung together and was slowly patched over time. Many of the UI and quality of life
What
elements
is this
feel so
song
outdated and
from?
So out of touch with modern standards, one might wonder why not just port it to a new engine.
Danganronpa! It's Danganronpa!
Back when the game was still alive.
Yeah.
There was a major
It's
update
the-
called
it's the
Homecoming that
island
completely
theme.
revamped almost every aspect of the
Yeah.
game. CD Projekt Red
Base!
everyone's progress to a new game and continued development.
I didn't go insane
Of course,
because,
the
you
main
know,
gameplay loop was
I'm-
kept intact,
you know, I'm not
but
my
its
Danganronpa
framework for
reason.
supporting the game was improved upon. I just gotta wonder, what's stopping Lysango or Aniplex from doing the same? The game consistently performs on the top charts, so budget is definitely not an issue. Once again, I need to reiterate that it is up to the developer.
I will say this. In slight defense of them not using the budget in-game, they use it on all the other Type Moon stuff.
oh, definitely.
FGO is the reason we got a Tsukihime remake. It's the reason that we get
Very nice.
multiple Fate animes, merchandising, all of that stuff.
It's also the reason why we even got the Stay Night remake.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah.
Melu is only 20. Yeah, she is so light. Yeah, until she transforms.
Yeah, she's like a
developers to
baby.
address any issues with optimization and any technicalities.
Get outta here,
I
Dolman.
cannot give any exceptions to FGO, simply because it would
I was
be
about
fair
to
the other
spoil
games
why she's
I
so
reviewed on
light,
the
but I stopped
So the
myself.
story of FGO is presented in a visual novel format.
I was gonna
For
say,
whatever reason,
please
they
don't.
never bothered to make more than 2 lines of dialogue show up at a time, so you have to be very selective on how the words are read, since you can't scroll up, unless you bring up the backlog to see what was said. It's weird because they have figured out how to do scalable text in some of the dialogue choices. There's absolutely no live 2D animation here, and parts of it can be forgiven since it wasn't so huge. back then.
Yeah,
Plus,
let me
I'm sure
let me
someone
address that for you right now, Force. They've already addressed there will be a part 3 for FGO. And I'm gonna be real. I would much rather deal with what we got now than an FGO 2 game. If it means that I lose all my servants and I can't transfer them over, I will happily deal with this than having to start over. Fuck
Yeah.
that.
can argue that Live 2D goes against the spirit of FGO and ruins the original artwork. Another
Live
thing
2D
is
would
that
not
the
be
original
bad.
game engine was built for those older generations of phones.
They commission custom artwork for a lot of these, so I will actually defend that a little bit. Live 2D does look good, granted. I wouldn't be against if they did that, but let's not knock the art in FGO. It's done by so
It's done by
many
amazing
artists.
It's done by amazing people.
Yeah.
Where the display were less wide, and when it was time to port it over to the newer displays in the 2017-ish models, it took them like a year or so to migrate the display. Before that, you could still download the game, but it would have an ugly-looking border around it like this. When the display was ported over, the sprites retained the resolution, so if we blow it up on a big screen, it gets pretty pixelated. There's also no
I play it on my
despite
iPad,
the
so
amount
I'm
of
good.
revenue that gets pulled from this. It's really a shame because some of the story moments are really good, and I think a lot of Fate fans would love to see these scenes come to life with voice performances. I guess they can save the budget for the anime adaptations, but as of currently, none of the Lost Belts have been adapted to anime yet. I know it's possible to add it since some scenes, including the Valentine stories with each servant, are fully voice acted. Unlike a silent visual novel, you can't really argue that it's more immersive to imagine what
I would
different
agree
servants
there.
sound like, since they already do have voices. But hey, small indie
Sorry,
company, am I right?
my mom came
I've been
in.
an avid visual novel enjoyer for quite some time. I understand the importance of writing clear and concise words, but also being very flowery with it. I have no doubt that Kino Kunas is a very skilled writer. A lot of the story is extremely captivating, filled with well-established characters and lore, not to mention the faithful localization to English. I ultimately don't have any problems with it, but I can't help but think that it could have been more. For example, let's compare this to Reverse 1999, which also does a visual novel style of storytelling. Not only is the main story and event stories fully voice acted, the character sprites are expressive and detailed, beautifully animated in live 2D and rendered.
Yes, I can see that
the
argument.
Effort put into presenting something in a stylistic and unique way does take skill and talent. On a servant's profile, there are 3 different Ascension art, plus a special illustration for the 4th and final Ascension. However, it's quite clear that the newer and shinier 5 stars get the special treatment here, as their portrait arts change more dramatically, whereas the low rarities just kinda add a few details here and there. Technically, each servant comes with 3 skins, and for the newer units, they even have different sets of voice lines depending on which Ascension skin is applied. Something else I quite like when gacha games do this is special interactions between characters. When you love
That's where my room shines.
Tapping on them in the lounge menu can sometimes trigger a line of dialogue regarding another servant if you have them in your roster. I like this. This is a very nice touch. It showcases that Chaldea is alive and the servants physically know each other, instead of only interacting with the player, making them the center of the universe. The music is also pretty good. I wouldn't say the game is known for it, but it's there. Though I wish there was a way to change the lobby music. There are skins that get introduced.
Nah, the game has some pretty amazing music.
In-game materials and some QP. You cannot pay money for a skin in this game. Some give unique voice lines, but some are just small.
Hey, thank you for the resub shard.
So that's the pleasantries out of the way. Just for the next 10 minutes or so, I will be critiquing FGO's UI system. Typically in a gacha game, when you want to upgrade a character, you go to the character menu. You select the character you want, then you make all the upgrades from there. In FGO though, this is a bit different. There's a tab called Spirit Origins where you can see your roster, but bringing up a servant's details page, you can't actually do any upgrades from here. Even long tapping on the skills button doesn't bring you to the page. There is a separate tab that you have to go to
Shima.
Enhance, where you have to individually decide if you want to level up a servant, the skills, the CEs, command codes, limit breaks, and grailing. Why do all these menus exist instead of a central area to do all of them? I don't know. We'll start from the top. I
mean, it's technically a central area.
I mean, I guess you can get used to it.
That act as XP. As mentioned previously, you have to physically select which embers to use, as some get more XP than others, and you can't.
Yeah, that does suck.
You then have to watch a
cutscene
of the embers being used, and even if you skip it, you have to watch the level gauge go up and the servant saying their level up line. I would really appreciate a way to skip this entirely, since the majority of gacha games these days don't have this problem. The quick select feature is there if you want to automatically filter and select embers.
Did the quality go down for anyone else on stream?
It's not so bad
because my thing is saying it's in the red for OBS.
For grailing, it's mind-numbingly tedious.
You know which game this is.
Yep.
Honkai Impact 3rd. And it's Siren's weapons. Based. That is true. If you don't have embers, auto isn't that good for this.
You don't need to watch the animation.
That's why I always skip it.
Oh, that's real nice.
To skills. When FGO was at its infancy stages, the skill descriptions were relatively simple, except 9 years later, servant kits have become a bit more complicated. Due to the spaghetti code, the game cannot change the skill description when it's level, and there's no way to implement keywords or side menus to absorb the text, making some of them extremely
Is it
cluttered
lagging
and
for anyone else
For
on
example,
stream?
If you take a look at Calamity Jane's skill here, yeah, the skill itself is pretty interesting. It basically does things depending on the number of crit stars you have, making you build a crit or stars oriented team. Except players are greeted with a giant wall of text. Usually, when games introduce complex mechanics, they use keywords or bolded text to strip down on the information and make it easy to digest. Due to the shoestring engine of FGO, this is not possible. Let's take a look at an infamous skill called
the drop
Imperial
frames is
Privilege.
pretty
If we take a
bad
look
on
what
stream,
the
I'm
skill
seeing.
actually upgrades,
Oh my god.
the in-game text will simply say that there is a chance to trigger an attack or defense buff and a healing effect. Okay, so what is the chance?
Look it up.
But nothing about the description changes. So my question is, what is being upgraded, and by how much? How is a new player supposed to know which skills to prioritize?
You have to
And
look it
I
up.
already hear the veteran FGO
Or
players
ask a
shouting at their
veteran.
screens. Use the wiki, it's not a big deal. And my response is, do you really think it's up to modern gaming standards to hide critical information from players and ask them to look it up on a wiki? If we take a look at what this actually
Yeah, that's why I do
upgrades, there is a
pretension.
base 60% chance
Baby, what
for
about
either the
you?
attack or defense buff to proc, and the amount actually caps out at 44% each. This would have been very nice to know in-game, such as those skills that increase the NP gauge, sometimes known as battery skills. It doesn't actually show how much of it gets filled, so
Yeah, they
you
probably
literally have
should
to look it up.
update that.
This is quite frustrating, since if I knew how much of the gauge would get filled up, my plays might have been different. Part of me wants to say that it's a game engine limitation, but they are able to show the numbers on append skills. Something else FGO does is
got him
traits,
there.
But this can get a little confusing because there are actually 3 types of these. There is alignment, which is kind of like the moral standings of a certain character, such as lawful good, neutral balance, or chaotic evil. The alignment of a servant is displayed in the
In
profile
charge
section
just had
in the
incredibly
menu.
bad
There are
lag
also
spikes.
attributes, and all
Shit.
servants will be assigned 1. They're either man, earth, sky, star, or beast. In fact, there are actually hidden attribute advantages, but they're generally not considered since the change is so little. Attributes are not to be confused with traits, which are things that describe the character, such as
Man,
Gone.
I really don't want to have to reset the stream because then I gotta combine these videos into 2.
humanoid, super large, divine, and so on. There are a number of
Let me see something real quick. No! Damn it! Ugh.
What did you do?
Forget it. Just.
skills or NPs that specifically target one.
Continuing on where we left off because
Trouble.
Restream shit the bed.
Hear the veteran FGO players shouting at their screens. Use the wiki, it's not a big deal. And my response is, do you really think it's up to modern gaming standards to hide critical information from players and ask them to look it up on a wiki? If we take a look at what this actually upgrades, there is a base 60% chance for either the attack or defense buff to proc, and the amount actually caps out at 44% each.
Yup.
This would have been very nice to know in-game, such as those skills that increase the NP gauge, sometimes known as...
Yeah, how many
Yeah.
times do we
It doesn't
actually look
show
at
how much
in-game
of it
to
gets
know
filled, so, again,
the
you literally
exact
have to look it
details
up.
of things?
This is quite
You
frustrating,
don't.
since if I knew how much of the gauge would get filled up, my plays might have been different. Part of me wants to say that it's a game engine limitation, but they are able to show
not.
the numbers on
Yeah, they
append
already
skills.
say it with the
Something
append
else
skills,
FGO
so there's
does
no
is
excuse.
traits. But this can get a little confusing because there are actually 3 types of these. There is alignment, which is kind of like the moral standings of a certain
Oh my
character,
gosh,
such
the
as
alignment
lawful good,
system.
neutral balance, or
I
chaotic
always
evil.
have to use a
The
guide for
alignment of a
this.
servant is displayed in the profile section in the menu. There are also attributes, and all servants will be assigned 1. They're either man, earth, sky, star, or beast. In fact, there are actually hidden attribute advantages, but they're generally not considered since the change is so little. Attributes are not to be confused with traits.
Unless you're
which are things
fighting
that
Beast.
describe
Unless you're
the
fighting
character,
Beast.
such as humanoid,
What is it?
The
super
thing
large,
is, to
mind,
find
Beast of
these things
Cherishman.
in-game,
there are a number of
if you
skills
even
or
can
abilities that
find them,
specifically
is
target
such a
one of these
pain to
niches,
look up
like
that
Ashura Dolman's
you would
ability
find
to
it out
buff
faster
chaotic
if you
evil
just
allies,
wikied it.
or David dealing more damage to enemies.
Okay, I
with
need to
the
be our
giant
BB.
trait,
BB's
since,
pinging me for some
David and
reason.
Goliath.
Okay.
It makes sense from a lore perspective, and it's a cool
Hi,
concept.
Lane.
My only question is, here's an enemy on the field. How do I check what traits they have? What about servants? It does show their alignment chart in the profile, but what about their other
Alright,
traits?
BB's gonna come to stream
Summoner
now.
Brynhilder has a skill that grants buffs to allies with the trait Loved Ones. Okay, what is that? Can I see a servant has that in the roster?
Nope.
How do I know
No.
which allies to bring if I don't know if they have this trait? Internally, this trait
Wiki!
is known as Brynhilder's Beloved, and it is tagged onto a handful of servants. Okay, so if I see that Bedivere here is tagged with it, then how would I know in-game that he has the trait?
You
It doesn't
don't.
list it anywhere on the profile page. What about
You
Berserker
don't.
Ku Hule? His profile has the alignment of chaotic evil, vastly different than Bedivere's lawful good. The alter ego Okita Alter has the loved one trait,
Okitan.
but the summer version does not.
I never got the
Another
summer
trait,
version.
The servant Gilgamesh has the special damage modifier to servants, as the game suggests, with the exclusion of those with the power of the star. The idea here is that as
Hi,
the King of
BB.
Heroes, he has access to the Vault of Babylon, being able to recreate the powers and weapons of every servant in the existence. So naturally, one can assume that when up against another
This is
servant
so
enemy,
good.
aside from those with the star attribute, Gilgamesh's NP will do more damage. Okay, so if I bring up the list of the star attribute servants, can I assume that this roster is immune to
Hi, Alco.
Anima Elish? Again, I need to bring up the wiki for this since you can't actually see a servant's attributes in
No, you
game.
can't.
And before you comment this, I'm already 2 steps ahead of you because I know that this new year on JP 2024, there was an update to include the attributes of a servant in
Yay,
its
a
profile,
lamb.
making the in-game
Didn't even know
descriptions
that.
more accurate. It only took them 8 years, and this change
It only
will
took 8 years.
service surely in 2026.
Damn you,
To answer the previous
lasagne!
question, no, not all the
Lasagna.
star attribute servants are immune. In fact, there is a special list of characters with immunity instead.
Oh, hi,
Most of them
Balu.
are star attribute, but there are also some wildly
BB, I love your new
inconsistencies.
dress.
For example, Romulus, the hero that founded the Roman Empire, is immune, but the
It may
last
not
version,
actually be
Romulus
BB, it may
Turnus,
actually be
is not.
Kazu Drop.
Regardless
Wait,
of the
what?
explanations, because I'm sure a Fate fan can confirmation bias their way out of this one, the issue here is that except for the vague term power of the stars, there's no way to confirm in-game if a servant is immune to this. So when you're out in the game planning out a stage, you can't just tap on the enemy's portraits to see their traits.
No, you
have
can't.
to exit the game app, check the enemy lineup on a wiki and say, oh, this enemy has a certain trait, let me bring the appropriate attacker. How much does this charge up my MP gauge again? Alright, I gotta look this one up too. Oh, okay, so I got enough to MP this turn so I can actually make this play. Oh wait, does that soldier have the human or humanoid trait? Does that Treant have the giant or the super large trait? It doesn't take a
Giant
to
or
figure out
super? I
this
forgot
is
that
not
was a
good player
trait.
experience. You can have a lot
Yeah.
of traits in the
When
game,
they
that's
should
totally
both be
fine,
the
but
same.
Some of the times it's vague and misleading. For example, for the human and humanoid traits,
Oh,
as mentioned previously,
Oh, I have to rant about this for a minute. Because this wasn't always in the game. But Josh, do you remember the weeklies that said, oh, kill like a super giant enemy or kill
Oh, I
stuff
remember
like
those.
that? Before they had the quality of life update that showed you, oh, hey, this node has a weekly target that you're searching for.
Yeah, you had to wiki that shit.
Yeah, you had to wiki that shit to get your weeklies done. That was so stupid.
I don't remember which note specifically was one that everyone used, but I believe there was one note specifically that had, I think it was Shadow Servant of Caesar that had like literally every trait that you would want from a weekly.
Interesting. I didn't know about that.
I could be wrong on that, but I remember someone saying, "Oh, just do this Caesar note because it has
those
this,
that are
this,
humans,
this,
and
and
those
this
that look
trait."
human respectively.
It's so
However,
dumb.
The human trait is
Yeah.
only reserved for those enemies that are actually humans, but there are no servants in the game with that trait. Meanwhile, humanoid includes the vast majority of servants and a much wider array of enemies, and you can easily
Oh,
argue
no.
that all humans are also humanoid. Now look, the trade system is cool, like you can expand out to a lot of niches and for team building and character designs.
Bam.
The issue here is that the game does not give you enough information on the intricacies of
No, it really doesn't.
and
No,
unless
it doesn't.
you, again, look it up on an external wiki, you can't
Hi,
get a full
Gorgon.
grasp of the system. Let's take a look at the in-game UI now. When you chain together your cards, there will be a display below to let you know of the effects of the chain. So if you use Arts
Yeah.
as the lead card, then every subsequent card will have a NP gain effect. So, if I was a new player learning the ropes, if I tried chaining together a Buster chain like this with the NP card as the third and final one, my question is, since the lead card is a Buster card, and the chain itself is a Buster
Okay.
chain, then it's expected that the last card in the chain will get a significant damage boost.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
pause.
thought that too. Let's be honest, we all thought that when we first started playing.
Don, that
Regardless of what
yes.
the correct answer may be, if I try chaining it like this, the game's UI will tell me that the NP will get an attack plus.
But it
So as a
doesn't.
beginner, it shouldn't be unreasonable to assume that that's what it does, right? Here's something
Nope.
else. If you select a
Nope.
lead card of a certain type, all your other cards will softly glow in the type's respective color. Just to indicate the bonuses.
I
of the
didn't
first
even
card
notice
buttons.
that.
I actually
Tap
did
on a
not know
Buster
that.
card, all your cards will glow red, hinting that
I
they will
actually
receive
did
the
not know
effects of
that.
The first card, giving a
That's
slight
new to
attack
me.
up. And the same applies to Quick or Arts. But here's something interesting. If you try to lead with a certain card type, even the NP cards will glow in that color.
That is an
So
issue.
again, if
Yeah,
I was a
that-
new player and I see that my Buster NP
I didn't
is
even
glowing
notice that.
blue,
Yeah, it's
since I
glowing
have an
blue
Arts
when
lead
it's not gonna
card,
have
it would be
any
expected that since I'm
effects.
leading with Arts, then the Buster NP will also have an NP gain effect, right?
Yeah, that's what I
No.
thought
That's
too
not
with...
how it works.
Yeah, that's what I
Cards play a
thought
bit differently
for
from face
so
cards.
long.
They are
It's just
not
like,
affected by the first
oh, I'll
card
use an
bonus.
arts card
They can
right
generally be
before
used
Mordred's
as the lead
NP.
card
Why
themselves,
didn't I
but there's
gain
obviously
anything?
going to be some nuances here where you
Yeah.
could place it further down. In this case specifically, using it in a chain like this will not increase that servant's NP meter. The game UI is misleading you with false information.
I actually did not
In
know
case you're
that.
wondering, this is still happening on the JP
Yep,
servers
it's still
9
happening
years
today.
Ignore
I
that
see stuff
servant.
like this, I gotta ask Lasango on any place.
No, I already know
What-
of
What
that
are you
servant's
doing?
existence.
How is
What are you
something
doing?
in the game? There's no reason for the game to
Hello,
I know what
Solo.
happens.
Welcome to the
not actually do
stream.
that
I
thing.
know what
When
happens
you
in Lost
enter
World
each
7,
level,
that's
it will
why.
expend the respective amount of AP points. Of course, this is nothing new in gacha games, except if you lose or decide to quit out, the AP is still expended. So if you accidentally tapped on a narrow instead of
yeah.
friend support,
That is
then
so
what the difficult the
painful!
encounter could be, from the
Yeah.
perspective of FGO, that sounds like a
Every
new
time.
Typically in other
Every
gachas,
time
the
I'm trying to
resource
go
is
for like
refunded back to you
Castoria and I click
whenever
on
you
something
lose or
else, I'm
quit
like,
out of a level.
oh
This is a quality of
fuck.
life change I think is
Yeah,
a
you have
much
no idea how many times
as
I've
it
clicked
feels
on a
quite
Merlin
punishing for the
instead of a
player when it's something
Castoria
out of
by
their control,
accident.
considering that pretty much all
And then
other
I just
games
lose
have the
basically
same
one
law in
entire
place.
node.
The front point
I mean,
gotcha
I
is
have-
where you
I
get
have
to roll
the
your
apples to
rarity
spare,
units.
but still,
Usually
fuck,
in the
man.
late game, this is
Imagine
just for
me,
getting
Don, who
fodder
has
to
no
upgrade your
apples
units
because
or
I'm
CEs.
stupid.
However, during certain events, there is a limited time
Just use
certain
your double
to get
Scotties
to
and
the
quick
FP
loop.
pool. It is generally
Fair enough,
I don't have-
actually, you can
I
do
don't
that
have a
now.
Scotty.
and wait for these events. As
I
pulling
don't
them
have a
gets you
Scotty.
lot of servant coins,
I have
which
ruler
is
Scotty.
used to perform something called grail casting, enabling you to exchange servant
I
coins for
don't
holy
feel like
grails.
you should
It's
be
a
grail
small thing you
casting.
can optimize. The only issue
I
is
don't
that
know,
it takes
though.
ages to
No, Josh, you Grailcast your free-to-play servant coins. That's how
Okay,
you
so-
do it.
Okay, so the 1 to 2 stars then.
1 to 2 to 3 stars, yes. It's just like,
Okay.
am I ever gonna use Gilderoy servant coins? Fuck no, I hate the guy.
But you will eventually.
No, I won't.
You'll see eventually.
Well,
Anyways.
even then, even if they do apply a universal servant coin system, I still got plenty of other servants.
No, no.
Besides, I do so many free-to-play summons. Don't Grail cast period unless you are desperate for Grails. No, I do that every month. I always Grail cast with my 1 to 2 to 3 stars that I never use.
Okay, I need to ask this, Don. Is it worth it for someone like me, a new player, to grail cast?
Yes. Absolutely, it is worth it.
Okay.
Because, again, you're not going to use the servant coins of, like, someone like Gilderoy, Saber. Hana, that is the reason I have my arc weight at level 120. Otherwise, I would not have reached that. But yeah, Grail casting, definitely worth it. Just make sure you only use your free-to-play servant coins. Never, ever use it with 4 stars and above. And especially don't use it with your welfares.
Well, duh.
It can be worth it, but only use units you don't think you will use. No, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what you should use your servant coins for Grail casting for. But unfortunately, Grail casting is locked behind beating Lost Belt 6 and then Vitch's little event thing.
Tunguska.
Yeah, so why is that quality of life change locked behind story? That
is
sucks.
something that's dumb.
Yeah, that.
I understand lore significance, but like lore significance should not hold back a mechanic like that.
Yeah.
And not to mention micromanaging your inventory, since you could quickly exceed the cap for servants and CEs. I wish there was a way to roll the FP gacha in bulk, kind of like what they did for lottery events, which would be an appreciated
That would be nice.
An auto battle feature is also quite common in modern gacha games.
Oh
if
boy.
you've already beaten a level once and the game knows that you can do it, you can skip the level and get the rewards immediately. This is not present in FGO. The best way to farm is to use the 3-turn farming methods, which is optimized for time and brain usage. Getting one of those meta supports is not a hard requirement, but not having one will
not a hard requirement. I mean,
that being said, when certain events hit, they are.
Wait a sec. You only need to do the epilogue for Tungasa. Isn't that something locked behind the rare prism shop?
Tunguska does become was free for a while.
Okay, so it is available to everyone then.
Yes. However, I could be wrong that you do still need the requirement of Lost Belt 6. Let me see.
Which unlocks after. Okay, so point still stands.
Tunguska, FGO. Let me see something.
More worth it, such as raids and lottery events. Even with 3-turn farming, it takes a grueling amount of time to clear out your stamina.
It does.
Some people are obviously going to be okay with it, but after some time, one has to wonder.
Oh look, it's me! Farming with Melusine daily.
You can literally just expend all your AP at the press.
Actually, I don't farm with Melusine that much if I can avoid it. I like to give servants other love.
Yeah.
See how easy that was? Nobody looks at a full AP meter and thinks, hell yeah, let's go farm embers again. It's a daily chore, so letting players see
yes, it says clear Avalon Lefay to unlock it.
Damn.
Here, I'll even fix
you can still buy it, but you can't do it until you clear Avalon Lefay.
Or fails a level, any AP or command spells they use.
Yeah, I don't know why they still haven't implemented this.
Yeah.
To my understanding, some of the Lost Belt 7 bosses did actually refund you your AP back, so I know this is possible.
Yeah.
Second, since 3-turn farming has been part of FGO's cultural identity, instead of implementing a sweep or autoplay function, what they can do instead is to let you spend AP on bulk and give you the respective amount of rewards.
That
farming node costs
would not be
AP to enter,
bad.
you can spend 120, triple the amount to clear one.
That would be amazing. Please, please.
Okay, Don, pause really quickly.
And now I'm going to.
What?
Okay, I want to specifically say this. That would be an amazing feature to put in. Alongside, if you use more AP, the rates are boosted for certain drops.
That would be awesome.
So much more helpful.
Yeah, that.
Let's go. Yeah,
it would make me go through lottery events so much quicker.
Like I kid you not, I would love it if, like, for example, currently I'm farming lamps. Okay, currently I'm farming lamps right now, and it's like a 27% chance to drop. But if I use triple my AP, it's boosted to like 70%. Like, that would be so much better.
Counter argument, Hana. You may say, oh, they'll never do this. They improved the pity system. None of us ever expected them to do that, so
yeah,
nothing's impossible.
Yeah,
they always have quality of life updates from time to time, and especially during the anniversary.
Yeah, it just depends.
Yeah, it's still it's still 300 pulls, but now if you pull the 5-star early, you can still hit pity again and again and again. It's no longer just a
one and done deal.
Yeah, it's no longer one and done. So that's actually it is an improvement. It gives me a little bit of security knowing at my worst, I can possibly get NP2 Draco if I save my quartz.
Yeah.
The
All
fact,
right.
the fact
My
in
little rant is
ZZZ,
over.
yes, I have to grind, but I can use 100 to 240 AP in one run, so I can drain it, not have to worry for 10 hours.
Yeah,
Yup.
yeah, something like that would not be bad. Again, I would love it if they boosted the rates. If you use like triple, quadruple your.
No, I agree, but the thing is, it's still an improvement. As minor as it is, it's still an improvement.
Yeah, it's still a heavy improvement. Like you still keep the culture of 3-turn farming. However, you get either boosted rates or you get like double the drops. Whatever happens.
Look, Hana, it may not apply much to you, as I don't think you wail as hard as I do for specific servants, although thankfully I haven't had to really wail this year. Thank you, FGO, for being so kind to me.
Fuck you!
But it is very, very much a safety net for people that can spend in this game.
Yeah, again, just as an example.
It is an improvement. It may not affect you, but it is an improvement.
Yeah, okay, so let's just say another example. So I was rolling for Summer Ibuki. If that was implemented, because I got Ibuki early in 4 tickets, I would be able to guarantee myself an NP2 on any servant I want if I save up for them, pretty much.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, which is helpful for free-to-plays. Very helpful for free-to-plays.
That's why I'm always encouraging everyone, save your quartz until you've hit, like, the pity amount.
Oh, rip.
That's why NA players got it good.
Yeah. Anyways, we can continue now before this gets even longer.
I'm sorry, but I'm not giving them any credit for this. That's fine. You can say
that's fair.
It's still a minor improvement. An improvement
Again,
is an improvement.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. Any type of
will make you
improvement is an
attract
improvement.
That's
Doesn't matter how
exactly,
small.
Josh. Exactly.
Even the most diehard
Once again, even them boosting the rates by like 2%, that's still an improvement.
Yep, that's still an
Better than
improvement.
nothing.
What the hell is that?
Wait, I gotta look back at
No,
that.
this
What?
did not age well. This did not age well.
And that word is crossplay.
What the hell is that?
Crossplay, or cross-platform play, is a standard feature of gacha games.
Not
on
FGO.
devices.
I mean,
Maybe
didn't
I wanna do
FGO
the
technically
action-intensive
implement this?
activities with
I
a keyboard
think
and
they're
mouse,
about to mention
then
it.
log in on my phone before sleeping to spend my stamina. Maybe I want to enjoy the main story on a large screen so the small-ass mobile display doesn't burn my eyes.
So it doesn't burn my
Do
eyes.
dailies at night. Now, I understand that not all gacha games have an official PC port, and that's okay. What matters is that it lets you retain your progression across all platforms.
I need to-
Oh yeah, Lane, this
Again,
fucked
it's a
you
good
up
player
so
experience.
badly.
Maybe it's server reset time and I do my Nikkei dailies on my phone. Then I realize that the daily interception boss requires the fluidity.
I
of
wish
a
there was some
keyboard
way
and
I could play
mouse.
this on
I
PC.
close the game, open up the PC client, no need for any passwords, no need for any logins.
This would be
Time to
very
play and
helpful.
go from there. This has been the case with all 6 of the previous games I've reviewed.
Wait, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Okay, Impact.
Wait a minute, did I
Nope.
just see that?
All 6.
Well, I guess we'll be visiting you again for Honkai Impact 3rd.
Oh no! Look at Yano's face.
That is cursed. But it does catch your attention, doesn't it? That is so fucking cursed.
Go ahead, Dom.
Look at what they
Look at what they did. Look at what they did to my girl.
look at what they did to our girls. Let's continue.
Yeah.
Fucking you said.
Of the previous games I've reviewed and any other gacha games I've played in the past. This is exactly how it should work. Nothing more, nothing less. Instead, FGO uses the primordial technique of transfer codes, where you set a password and enter it to transfer your data to a new device. This means you cannot seamlessly play on a phone or tablet without issuing a code first. If for whatever reason the app is deleted or you lost your phone, you can either try contacting their customer support, then they'll ask you a bunch of personal questions relating to your account, then you just might get your account back. But if
Maybe.
you don't, you literally just lose all your progress. This
Yeah.
is a major quit moment for even long-term players.
Yeah, that's what Lane had to do.
I have a story to tell for this.
Were all for nothing. What's more frustrating, just like
Go ahead, Josh. I'm
Okay,
adjusting my chair
so
anyway.
I'm going to terrify everyone with what I say right here. I was a veteran FGO player. Pause for dramatic effect.
We're already
now back.
paused.
Okay, so what happened is that I got bored of the game, and I decided to just give my account to someone else, which again, that's against COS. I don't support it, all that stuff. Guess what? I decided to come back to FGO because of this idiot right here. This bitch right here is the reason I wanted to come back to FGO. And the story, but that's like.
Well, the story is always the reason you want to come back to FGO, mainly.
Well, yeah, but it's also this whore's reason. But it's also this whore. Anyways, so I decided to ask my friend, "Hey, can I get my account?" Becky's like, "What account?"
What do you mean, what account? What do you mean, what account?
Yeah. Guess what? Guess what? My account got lost. I lost my account from him. Someone I could trust. Someone I trusted with my account. They do not have access to my account anymore. So I lose my MP4 Merlin, my NP2 Scotty, and a bunch of my like year one servants. Like a bunch of the good servants I had. And I had to restart from scratch. Thankfully, I have some good supports now, but please implement this feature soon. Please let us be able to log in via Google.
I am surprised you came back to the game at all. Damn.
I blame you, you fucking whore.
Which character are you talking about?
Man. I'm talking about you, Miss Empress Dawn.
What'd I do?
Everything.
What did I do?
And also
the
story. Also, the story is the reason. I'm gonna be completely honest as well. So the story is the other reason, but it's also this idiot's fault.
I didn't do nothing. I'm completely
You did everything,
innocent.
Dawn. Let us continue.
Okay.
Every other technical issue I've mentioned so far, this is a fixable problem. And listen,
It
I
is.
can already smell the doubters because I already know about the Aniplex email system introduced in JP.
Oh, yeah, that.
This year. This is actually not a crossplay system.
No,
It just makes it easier to transfer your data across devices. Not to mention that you need to verify yourself as a Japanese citizen. You still have to delete the data on your old device and keep signing in back and forth. It's an improved account binding system,
But not by
a
much.
crossplay system.
No.
I guess if you're on insane copium, you could
Paresh
just keep transferring
mentioned-
your data back and forth across devices,
No.
but it is still a far cry from a true crossplay system widespread in gacha games these days.
Yeah.
FGO's story is home to some of the greatest moments in gacha gaming. Some of the boss encounters are genuinely filled with unique mechanics, distinct animations, and visually appealing backdrops. So my
Haiku.
question is, why not give players a chance to experience it again? There is a story cutscenes replay, but you can't actually fight the bosses. I'm sure a lot of players will want to relive
It's called
the moments of
Memoria
facing
Fights.
against the Temple of Solomon.
Yeah,
Navi
basically
from
once per
Camelot,
year.
Or the monstrous Trees of Emptiness from the Lost Belt. It just strikes me a little odd that FGO is widely known for its beautiful storytelling, yet there is no way to experience any of those cool moments again. Except for certain recollection quests, but if
Yep.
you're able to show that this feature is possible, why not just put it there permanently? FGO is
Good
also
point.
home to a diverse array of
Yeah.
farmable materials, all of which are needed for leveling servant skills. You can either farm them manually from a free quest node, which are usually not optimal for the drop rate, or via certain events. Some of these
Yeah.
resources are only available in the later
Oh, hey,
chapters.
Albion.
So if a new player gets a shiny new SSR from the Lost Belts, they actually just can't
Oberon.
level them unless they reach that chapter. There is a
Oberon.
currency
Yeah,
called
Pain
Pure
Pecco.
Prism that all players will get,
Oh,
but
man.
the supply is limited. In the Pure Prism shop, you can get almost every material.
Yeah,
in the
okay
game.
there, Josh. I know
Again,
this
there
was
is a
stinging
limit
ya.
on how many can
Go ahead
be
and
bought.
pause it.
This is a good quality of life change, except
Okay.
I fucking hate you, Oberon, you motherfucker. You took all my pure prisms, and then Castoria ate them all, but that's a different story. Anyways, I hate you, Oberon, you fucking prick. Go ahead.
certain skills are extremely grindy. If we take a look at Melicene's skill level up materials, one level up to 9 will cost 72 bells. You have to farm,
I'm currently
just
struggling
a
with this.
tiny-
Yeah.
Okay.
About that.
Okay, I'm going to
As
say this
someone,
right now.
no, Josh. This is where I come in.
No, this is where
No, this is where I come in as the Melusine simp here. It took me frickin' forever to grind out her bells. And it took even longer because I had to max out her appends, which need bells as well. Ad break. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't do anything about that.
Yeah, that's what they're gonna do about it. Anyways, I have something to say.
Go
Currently,
ahead.
I have like 3 people I need to raise up, and literally, me and BB made a spreadsheet to like figure out what I need to prioritize first, and I'm not even halfway done with it.
Oh, that's pain, Pecco.
Oh, definitely. I wanted Summer Say, and instead I got Summer Comma, which I actually don't mind, but I got Summer Comma.
Don't be dissing Summer Comma. Don't be dissing Summer Comma.
I didn't want her, but I'm fine with it.
You want to give me her?
No,
Please?
no.
I'll happily take NP2.
Okay, how do I give her to you? I do this burn function to give her to you, right?
No! Okay, let's continue.
We love fucking with each
216
other.
of these.
216! Okay. Here's the thing. I got lucky in the fact that... Actually, no, I did use some bells on Morgan. But thankfully, going through Lost Belt 6 does give you quite a number of bells. And I was hoarding all the bells I got from events. And Oberon, if I remember correctly, Oberon needed the bells. So this is what I had to do. I had to max out Melusine. I had to max out Oberon in order to unleash Melusine's full potential. And it took freaking forever. And I hated it.
Yeah.
So much pain.
So much pain.
Nearly enough to max out one servant's skills. Something frustrating is that FGO does not have a fusion function. In other Gacha games, you can merge or combine less
Hey, thank you for the raid!
materials and turn it into something
the question is, how would this work, actually?
How would what work?
A fusion mechanic for FGO.
Hello, welcome. We're watching a very detailed FGO review.
To balance out any excessive materials and turn it into something useful. That would be pretty helpful here.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, Connie.
Resources. If you happen to get enough, the game will literally ask you if you want to continue or head back to save stamina. It's a streamlined process that cuts down on the tedium, making FGO pretty behind on this regard as well.
I'm actually
There's
wondering.
also some general jank with the ways how the sorting.
I am doing well. How are you?
Kind of search through all your servants to find the right one, but there's all these options that I don't even know if anyone has the time and patience to use.
Wait, hold on. No, I gotta read this from BB. Joshy, I made the spreadsheet, you bratty child. I just said you could use it as a template. Give me credit for my OCD, bitch.
I did
it. Mama calling you out.
This is mine now. I love fucking with all the KG members.
Where select servants or CEs can prioritize them at the front of the list. Except this
I love fucking with the KG, it's hilarious. But I know when to stop.
You know what? I need to say by now, if you've made it this far into the video, type in "that's hell you're walking into" and tell us your thoughts on the video so far. And obviously, go and subscribe to Psyche? I don't even know how you say that name.
Psyche? Yeah, Psyche.
I left a comment, so that's how you know. That's how you
know.
Alright, let's continue.
Via something called Smart Sort, except the toggle on the side says multi-select. Due to the sheer amount of servants and CEs added throughout the years, I think FGO could really benefit from a search function. In order to
it does need better organizing.
It does.
All these menus. I'm glad that they did at least do some improvements here. So if you knew what to look for,
so it's not bad, it's just could be better.
And I wish to burn all of my 1 and 2 star servants that I pulled on the FP gacha. By default,
well, you sort by rarity.
Is unintuitive, and you would have to manually select the servants. It does get the results I wanted, but this can be confusing if you have a lot of servants to burn all at once. I was gonna say,
just search by rarity.
Not to mention that the game does not auto-select them for you, and it's possible that you could make a mistake if you're not careful.
And that's why you always check.
Say I wanted to dismantle all of my R rarity gear that's tiers 1 and 2. Quite a long menu to sift through, but if you tap on the filters, you tap on R rarity, tiers 1 and 2. and the game will auto-select every applicable one, which you can just
All right,
dismantle right then and there.
I'm not gonna
only is
hop off.
this
I'm
way
just gonna
easier,
do
I
my
know the
dailies
game is not going
in
to make a
ZZZ.
mistake.
Go ahead.
Now, you might be wondering, well, if the game's got all these problems,
is such
why
a
did
good
you stick
CE.
around? So at the time,
Yeah.
I didn't really give it too much thought. I was still commuting in college, and was just happily tapping away at the story on the metro. I think for a lot of longtime players, it's something that you just get used to. That is
Yep.
until I started to dabble in other gacha games and realized, wait a minute, why isn't this feature in the game? It's there everywhere else, so why don't they have it?
Yeah, this was basically my
That's just the
realization when I
thing.
went
The game
from
makes
FGO
millions of
to
dollars, sometimes
Genshin
even
to
more
X-Dive, and I'm like,
impact.
damn.
So if you have
FGO as a
decent
gacha
budget to
kinda
work with,
sucks.
Where are all the improvements to meet the standards of modern gacha games? It just seems so bizarre to me that this cash cow game doesn't get key
Money.
quality of life changes to this day. Since the optimization and technicalities are pretty
Mama
far
mentioned.
behind, presentation gets a below expectations rating. It's time to put your diverse servants to the test. Let's see how well FGO handles late game.
Oh
challenge
no!
My metric for this section.
The thing
generally
is,
comes
it doesn't.
It doesn't
It
have
doesn't
late game.
have late game content.
Look at Dawn.
You could classify the story as late game content and event challenge quests. That's
Yeah.
it. That's
doesn't-
it.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm
plentiful
gonna be honest. I
opportunities
don't
for late
care
game
for
players to
like
challenge
a
their roster.
what is it?
How I tend to
Honestly,
standardize
I'm
this is
fine
by
with the
looking
way
at
they do
trend
it.
of
I just
Yeah,
wish
I'm
I just
expecting
wish
to see
they
some
had
endgame
bosses we
dungeons
could
that rotate
refight
on
to
a
test our
bi-weekly
characters.
basis, such
Yeah,
as Genshin's
with like a reason to
Spiral
fight them.
Abyss, Nikkei's Solo and Union Raids,
Yeah, I was gonna
Reverse
say
1999's
something.
Limbo mode,
I don't want something
Brown
like the
Dust
Spiral
2's Evil
Abyss.
Castle mode, and so on. I don't believe gacha games should have a big emphasis on late game content, considering the casual nature of them, but it should still have something to reward those that have established accounts to take on a
Oh,
greater
that's so
challenge.
good.
So
I didn't even
historically,
realize
FGO
they
has
updated
some
that.
pretty difficult story fights.
Oh, it
I
definitely
consider
does.
these as late games since they're available to be played at any time. Plus, the game gives you quite a lot of revive items, so even if you don't care about the challenge, you can just use them to enjoy the story. For every event, there is
yeah,
also a
Okita had an
challenge quest,
animation
often
update.
abbreviated as
I didn't even realize
CQ,
Okita had an animation
that has you
update.
pitted against a difficult encounter. It's arguable that you don't have to do this, but considering that the reward for the first time clear is a crystallized lore, which is one of the rarest upgrade materials in the game, so it's highly advisable that you do clear
I
it
don't
at
know about
least
that,
once.
Chief.
Historically, for the first 5 years or so,
It's still the
FGO's events
rarest.
will run for 2
It
weeks
and
each,
Holy Grails are
which
the
was
rarest
standard
items.
for most gacha games.
Yeah, but
Now
I
they
remember
have
having
been
like
extended to
122 of
3
them.
weeks, meaning the frequency of CQs have been broadened. Outside of this, there are the occasional advanced quests that I actually quite like. as these are
advanced
probably
quests
The
are
advanced
some of
quests
the
are
best
fine.
ways to make
They're
some
interesting.
Weird and niche teams.
Yeah.
I wish more of these came out frequently, since I really don't think they take much effort to do. So, FGO is home to some of the most uniquely designed characters. They tend to lean into their different niches, and solving the puzzle of a challenge quest feels very satisfying if you do pull it off.
It does.
If you manage to get around the jank of the menus and the UI, you can have a lot of fun in these quests. That being said, I think it's quite a shame because a lot of the cooler designs are locked by ways of limited 4 and 5 stars. Now, I would love to explore all the quirky and unique playstyles if I had more of these servants, but due to the game's stingy gacha economy, if you're a free-to-play or low spender, you really have to be selective of who you want, as you
Yup.
simply just don't have the freedom to realistically target most of the servants that release.
Yeah, then the
For the
challenge
record,
quest
I
from
don't consider
NeoFest can be
grinding
fun.
as part of late game content,
Yeah.
but just so you know, if you're playing FGO for the long haul, you're going to be doing a lot of
Kaboom.
farming. If you don't own any of the meta supports that allow 3-turn farming, then it is going to be quite a lot more difficult and tedious to farm for materials.
Yup.
I personally don't find farming fun, since I think it's a tedium that could be resolved by the developers putting in features in place to make it easier. But I know some people simply do enjoy the grind. I think when there is challenge content, I'm generally okay with the designs and the substances of them. Some of the gimmicks and
Whenever
mechanics are
I
pretty
get
cool.
to use
I
this
only wish they
servant,
did them
it's
more
always a
often.
good time.
If you really wanted
Yeah.
to, you can just skip them or use your revive command spells. I'm willing to give FGO a pass on this one, but it's teetering very close. Late game content gets a within expectations rating from me.
Yeah, I think
the
it's
main
fine.
issue is the content schedule, which I will talk about later, as late game challenges should ideally be a routine thing that happens every couple weeks, and not tied to an event. When judging fear of missing out elements, I believe that a player should be able to jump in
Oh,
at
boy.
any time without feeling that they've missed out on something.
Oh
Additionally,
no!
Oh,
content should be
no.
run
Oh
No. No, FGO.
Oh no!
FGO is absolutely a game that the earlier you start, the better, because Oh, man.
Yeah. Oh no.
Oh, Jolter Lily flashbacks.
Yep.
Yeah, FOMO. Oh, it's 100% in this game. Way more than something like Genshin or such. It's like, Honkai Impact 3rd, reruns are like every 3 months, even for newer characters. Arkaway just got her first raid up in Japan, and it's been like, I think 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Periodically be made available to let players revisit them. FGO in its regard gets a disadvantage compared to previous review entries since it has been running for 9 years and we can see more of its track record. Let's establish what is actually limited in the game. Well, aside from the exclusivity of limited servants talked about earlier, some events will contain a welfare and or event CE for you to pick up. The value here is pretty good, as some welfares are actually quite powerful. The same goes for the...
To be fair, they have addressed the welfare issue. They are releasing older welfare servants in bundles as well as welfare CEs.
Yeah.
It took them until, I think, this year or last year, but hey.
The event CEs.
Progress is progress.
Progress is progress.
If you were not able to snag them when they were live, you would either have to wait for a rerun or via the upcoming Invocation Festival system.
Yeah, that.
Allow you to reclaim past welfares as they are released. This is actually pretty nice. Even if an event is rerun, if you already have the welfare servant from the first run, then you get copies of rare prisms instead.
Yay!
Generous for those that have been playing for long. Events historically do get rerun once, but after that, they're either added as a main interlude so you can play them at any time, or in some cases not rerun at all. This is something I have a grudge with in live service games, since some events have important lore implications that players
I did not get to do this event.
There's also skins or outfits. The majority of them are added to a separate shop menu where you can buy it with prisms, and again, all skins in this game are free, so you don't have to pay anything except in-game resources. Some outfits offer more than others, but hey, could FGO be doing more to mitigate FOMO? Yes, but I think it's far from the worst I've seen. Overall, they've been handling this in a fairly acceptable way. This section gets a within expectations from me as well.
Really? With how the gacha is, I thought it'd be below expectations.
Yeah.
Because even Genshin is better with its reruns than this game is. That genuinely surprised me.
We will talk about variety and content frequency. How often does the game receive meaningful updates? How about responsiveness? This section primarily takes a look at how well the game
I think this is actually pretty good.
Including ways to shake up the gameplay loop for more variety. Once again, FGO gets a bit disadvantaged since we can see more of their track record, but at the same time, if this is done well, that would also speak about the quality of the game. Let's see how events and update schedules are handled in FGO. For the first 5 years of the game, normal events ran for 2 weeks, with the more major events like Summer running for 3 instead. This, in my opinion, should be the standard for gacha games. The majority of content patches, if you look at the wider spectrum of the market today, all have 2-week events, then a brief maintenance period before the next one arrives. There should be very minimal or no downtime where nothing is happening.
Okay, for JP though.
In the last 2 years in FGO,
I don't know
all
about that,
events
Chief.
containing a story mode are now 3 weeks. Normally, I will be fine with this. If you're putting out 3-week events, then you better also put out 3 weeks worth of content. But this has not been the case. The length and the amount of side activities in these events have remained the same, but the events are grindier than before, taking up more event currency before clearing out the points ladder or the shop. What they have effectively done is artificially prolonging each event period without providing significant new content. It's weird because some people will argue that Losango is being generous because they give players more time to go through the event, but that is going to be a hard disagree from me.
I would have to
I
disagree.
think they're being lazy. Event duration has nothing to do with grind or runtime, but to do with exclusivity.
I am going to give a slight benefit of the doubt. This is a very slight benefit. But I am going to argue that the impact of, like, you know, the big cough, as well as them shifting teams, that might have contributed to why the last 2 years has felt kind of janky when it comes to its, like, content schedule.
Yeah, I will admit that.
The game gets to dictate the level of grind that players have to do, cut down on the amount players have to farm, and naturally people will spend less time with these tedious things. The event story also doesn't have to be exclusive to the duration of the event itself. What's stopping them from just adding it to an archive so players can experience
Yeah,
it
that's fair,
anytime?
though.
Like what
That
Nikkei
is
does.
true.
Nikkei doesn't have to do event reruns because it doesn't have this problem. It's
Okay,
funny
I
because
do wanna
if
say
any
this
other
really
gacha
quickly.
dev tried the same thing, then the
What's it called?
community will
Blue
suddenly start asking
Archive.
questions like, is the game
Technically,
okay?
Blue
Why
Archive
are
does
events
it as
being
well,
extended? And
where
the
you
service
where you're
side?
able to see the story,
FGO
but you're not
makes
able to do
tons
the
of money
event.
from the game. Everyone knows that it's not shutting down. Yet why are they falling behind in terms of content scheduling when they have been doing
True.
this for the first 5 years of the game? I know they can make fun and engaging events. Here are two that I found very memorable during my time playing. In 2022, I was able to catch the rerun of Summer 4, the one where you go to Las Vegas. You got
That
the
one was
famous
pretty
Japanese
fun.
painter Hokusai,
Summer 4
who,
was very fun.
has been turned into an anime waifu. The fearsome swordsman Miyamoto Musashi, who has been turned into American, but also an anime waifu.
American.
Also, all these
American
servants
anime
running
waifu.
their own
Yeah, Summer
casinos,
3. Summer
the
3
fights
is
were
peak.
fun
My
and
name is
principled.
Musashi
This was a good
Miyamoto.
event. It ran for 3 weeks, but it was worth it. The Grail concert event following mysterious.
Oh, that was
X
so
as the first
good!
foreigner welfare
That
unit.
was so good! That was one
I
of the
feel
best
Schemes for the
events.
servants,
I
the
feel
more
bad that I
unique
was
music
not able to
tracks
do
that played
it.
Whenever one of the featured servants was present, it was a lighthearted story, but I could clearly tell they put effort into it. Again, this was
They
a
gave
good
so
event.
many good
Another
costumes.
gripe I have with FGO is that event main story is often time gated. If you
Yeah.
only have 1 day to play, but
Understandable,
want to go
but,
through
like,
the entire story
yeah.
in one go, well, sorry, because you better wait until the next server reset or after you've grinded a little. Aside from the 3-week events, something else I want to bring up.
mean, to be
is
fair,
the
Genshin
content
does the same
schedule for
shit.
the past 2 years.
Yeah.
FGO is known for its characters and story. I don't think anyone will argue that. If that's the case, then these are the 2 aspects of the game they cannot mess up on. Last year in the summer, Lost Belt 6 released, and it genuinely shocked me how good it was. Reading through Avalon Lefay, I was willing to forgive any poor scheduling the game had. I think at the end of the day, we often forget that these gacha games we play are free to download. So it's kind of hard to grasp that I'm critiquing free games so deeply. I got to enjoy a story this good for free? That's unbelievable. It's really something
That
you
is
have
true.
to see for yourself, but
Yeah.
Lost Belt 6 had such endearing characters, such an epic plot that as I finished it, I thought to myself, oh yeah, that's why I started playing FGO. That's why I was able to forget
Yep,
its
and
other
that's why it's my
shortcomings.
final
So when
point
I
in my
eventually
beginner
completed
guide.
Lost Belt 6,
Mhm.
I was like, yes, that's exactly what I wanted. I want more of this. So like, when's the next main story chapter coming? The gap between Lost Belt 6 and 7 was an astounding 16 months on the Japanese servers.
Yeah.
Aside from the interlude chapters,
And we're
which
just
are
and we're gonna get it next year.
Slight. I will give a little bit of defense on this front. Lost Belt 6, in terms of word length, was half the length of Fate Stay Night entirely.
Mhm.
So, when they release these things, they're big. Very
Oh, it's
big.
Huge.
So that's usually why it takes so long for them to do the main story chapters. Now, why aren't they rerunning events while we wait for those main story chapters? I don't know.
Money.
No, it's not even money. It's just they can't code the game properly or something.
Yeah.
the way good in their own right, I don't consider them as main story chapters. This means FGO has only had 1 main story chapter every year. Looking at their 9 years track record, that is a record slow pace. Even on the JP side, Arc 2.5, dubbed Ordeal Call, some even refer to as Ordeal Stall, is
Ordeal Stall, I haven't
Yeah.
heard that!
having
Yeah.
released a bit earlier this year.
Yeah. Hi,
Now,
Kama.
Lost Belt 7 at the time was also considered very good in its writing, but
Oh,
the journey
Don,
for
don't
its
look at
release
it.
was not the smoothest. Let's look into this. The last core of Lost Belt 6 was released in August 2021. The campaign leading up to the 7th and final Lost Belt, dubbed Road to 7, was in place for almost a year. Eventually, the release
Yeah, we're
date for
still on
Belt
Road to
7 will
Lost
be
Belt
announced
7.
for Christmas
Yeah.
of 2022. 16
Yeah.
months of waiting is a long time for anyone. But hey, it's the final arc. Of the
we
Part 2
we
saga,
still
so
got
I guess
6.5
ending it
with
Christmas is a pretty fitting way to close out the
Trom, I
story.
think it was called.
However,
Yeah, we have
Lost Bolt 7 will
Trom.
be released in multiple cores, with the second half releasing in the following January instead. Now, this
Yeah.
is fine, since Lost Bolt 6 did the same thing. The issue was that there's no definite release date given. The earliest announcement was slated for the second half of January, but that's pretty vague. This could be anything between the 16th to the 31st. Even then, that's fine. As long as they gave players things to do, there shouldn't be any problems. Except, other than the New Year celebration campaign, there were 0 events happening for the entire month of January. There were 4 weeks of dead air.
Yeah,
They couldn't
and the
put out
dead
a
months have
Grailfront
continued
minigame,
in
No
JP.
event reruns, not even
Yeah.
a hunting quest campaign. And when news finally came out, people found out that there was a delay. The second part of Lost Bolt 7 would finally release on January 31st, on the very last day of that month. Alright, well, at the very least, we have a date now, but we're not done with Lasangle's shenanigans. In the last 2 weeks leading to January
Lasagna.
31st, they announced a new gacha banner for a brand new character, Nidacris Alter. Well, who is Nidacris Alter? As it turns out, she is a character that is involved with Lost Bolt 7's story arc. The only problem is that Nidacris Alter had not even appeared in the story yet.
Yeah, this
banner
was
ran from
really
January
confusing
18th
for
to
players.
February 1st. This means Lasangle had just spoiled everyone. Now, I
Yeah.
know
Yep.
some people will be quick to point this out, but this isn't the first time that a character involved in the main story was announced prior to the story's release. The issue here is that Nidacris Alter's release window was only 2 weeks away from the actual story. How had it not been a better alternative to wait until the second core releases on the 31st, has had a chance to meet Nidacris in the story, then you put out the banner? You want to know why I think they did
Read.
this? I'll tell you. Lasangle reports to Aniplex as the publisher, and as a corporation, they are obligated to generate monthly revenue reports for the game.
Yeah.
Now, since
I
January
thought
was
so.
a dead month with no events or reruns happening, it makes sense to put out a desirable gacha banner. However, since the story was delayed until the very last day, they decided to run the Nidacris banner 2 weeks early, in order to inflate those January revenue numbers, despite her not being even shown in the story yet. It sounds to me that this is a company that is willing to jeopardize their creative freedom so long as they could line their pockets with some extra cash. That's what I think of this situation. Putting out a gacha
That does
banner
sound
is
about
easy.
right.
Putting out
Yeah.
actual significant content in an orderly schedule
That
is hard.
that is a complaint people have had ever since Los Angeles Lasagna
Yeah.
took over, that it's felt we've gotten more quality of life updates, but the company has felt a lot more greedy. Like, let's not mention do we need to mention the servant coin chaos?
Yeah. This is why. Okay, obviously it's a gacha game. It needs to make its money, but like,
It's already
Please.
it's already one of the top selling gacha games.
it's called corporate greed for a reason. But
It's corporate greed.
just please, like,
You know, so do we blame Aniplex or Sony for the servant coin thing?
I'm gonna be honest. I kind of blame Aniplex for it.
Yeah.
I know this may seem like I'm picking on FGO here, but the vast majority of the time whenever something needs to be delayed or the scheduling needs to be adjusted, this is well communicated to players ahead of time. By today's standards, it is very rare to see reputable gacha games have extended amounts of dead periods without any events running or last-minute delays. During an interview, Kano Yoshiki, the director for the Lost Belt arcs,
Tucson!
said the game will be overhauling its bond system in order to address the shortcomings of how bond CEs work in this game, and that it was a good idea to have as many servants at bond 10 as you can, and that more news regarding the overhaul will be announced later. This interview was 2 years ago. A
Wow!
common sentiment I hear is, well, quality takes time, you can't just rush things. Now listen, for the record, I don't have a problem
Oh,
the main
no,
story
it's
characters
this.
take a long time to release.
Don't you
The
show
issue
me.
here is
Good.
that writing for a
Okay,
live
good.
service game is different from writing for a single-player one. Nasu doesn't need to do all the stories. What matters is that the game is padded out with consistent and meaningful events with little to no dead air in between. Bring back 2-week events, just like how it was for the first 5 years of the game, reduce the grind, and make more side content. You are a multi-million-dollar franchise, so act like one. Now I want
Don't
to talk
remind
about
me.
player appreciation and responsiveness. On the NA servers during the Tunguska Sanctuary event in December 2023, there was an Ivan the Terrible raid boss scheduled.
Oh, I forgot about this. I forgot about this.
Wait, what happened? Wait,
I'm-
what?
I'm gonna let him. I gotta let him talk. I gotta let
This
him
raid was
talk.
terrible during the Tunguska Sanctuary
I completely
event in
forgot
December
about
2023.
this.
There was an
Okay.
Ivan the Terrible raid boss scheduled.
This is
However,
all
due
new to
an
me. I
error
wanna
with
hear.
time zones, this raid was skipped, and the next story mode began immediately. This
Wait,
means if
what?
you made a guide or plan to grind out the boss drops, those plans were null and void.
Yep.
And
What?
had permanently missed out on this portion of FGO
Yep.
history.
What?
Compensation was a measly 10 sane quartz.
No!
Yep.
I understand that developers can sometimes
No,
mess
pause
up.
that,
That's
pause that.
fine.
Oh boy.
What I
Oh
love
boy.
for
Josh
that
about
is
to go into rant
Pause.
mode.
No, you don't just get 10 quartz for
Yep.
No,
Like
no.
literally, I remember the moment it started in NA, it was already done. It was already done because they forgot to account for North American time.
You did not. And 10 this is worth at least like 60 quartz. No.
No.
No, actually, no. Not
No,
even 60,
it's
this is
worse. You want to know what makes it worse, Josh?
Were there drops?
There were not only drops. This was one of the best events to farm bond CEs. Because, well,
Farm bond.
to farm
Farm bond.
bond points. Because
Yes.
the CEs you got in the gacha increased how much bond points you got.
No.
So, yeah. So I had it like, I get 80% more bond points.
No.
So,
No.
people that were planning to farm this, they were planning to farm it all day. And legit, and I can prove this because I did it myself, I reached like 4 to 5 servants hitting around Bond 11 levels within 1 to 2 days.
No.
And they were like
You-
at 800k bond points when I started.
No. You'd know.
So that means, not only that would mean that one of the best reasons to farm for it is you get 30 Saint Quartz when you get a servant past Bond 10, of course.
Wait. So you're saying people potentially missed out on like
Big
10 to
amount of
12
Saint
multis?
Quartz.
Like,
Big
so, like,
amounts.
okay, I was gonna say, are you saying like potentially 900 quartz? Like
Not 900
maximum?
quartz, but I'll tell you this, Josh. I got around 150 quartz just from farming the final raid part of this event.
No.
And that's the reason
No.
I was able to get my last copy of Melusine.
No, you don't do that.
Yeah.
Lasagna, you don't do that.
So that's
By the
why
way-
people were just like, 10 quartz? I could have gotten way more just by farming.
Okay, chat. Feel free to clip this, but no, you don't do that. No, no, that deserves like 300 quartz. No,
I wouldn't say 300 quartz, but somewhere around 2 to 3 multis worth.
no.
Because it's just like, you not only miss out on bond points, you miss out on the quartz you can get from it, you miss out on the drops you can get from it, and this was like a raid that would go on for like almost a full day. Yeah, that is a 60 quartz level fuck up, and that's what we got in NA, 10 quartz.
Okay, I need to know how much backlash did this get?
Not enough for them to change much. People
No,
were definitely
that's
upset
not.
though.
No.
It didn't affect me because I wasn't planning to farm Yvonne. I'm just like, this doesn't drop the mats I need. I have plenty of these mats. I'll farm the beast when she comes out.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just like, you don't do that, my dude. My dude, you don't do that. This is how you lose players.
Hey, thank you for the follow. Yeah, people were so mad. Anyway, I'll let him talk
Anyways,
now.
yeah.
Respond to that mistake. I know FGO's had its generous moments, but the way the game's maintenance is handled is pretty questionable. During the 7th NA anniversary, there were quite a number of times when the service unexpectedly went offline. I'm sure a lot of players will say, well, they compensated players for the maintenance, so there shouldn't be any problems. But think about the inconveniences this may have caused, about the players that may have had limited time in their day to play.
Yeah, that is true.
Something important, but suddenly gets cut off from playing. In recent times, I've never heard of a top Gacha game ever having this problem. Now, let's try comparing this to a more competent development team. Quite a while ago, I completed Limbus Company's Chapter 5, which is also
I need to play
a
Limbus
turn-based
Company. It looks
visual
interesting.
novel-style gacha game. I gotta say, the story is pretty damn good. So first, I think FGO's got some competition in the story department. This is a game where the writers are extremely confident in the character designs, since
Jolter Lily Lane says.
The 24-hour maidens period.
Project Moon releases a main story chapter.
Limbus team being called competent is a new one? Really?
With an interlude chapter in the middle of that 4 months wait time. The game is rich with lore, a very strong cast of characters, and bi-weekly updates for quality of life changes and new content. The difference of how this
Barely
developer
noticed the
handles
maintenance,
update
fair.
schedules and feedback is night
But still.
and day. The thing is, developer responsiveness is not hard to do. Communicate what you heard from the players, what you're working on, and a rough schedule for when these problems will be fixed. FGO is the first game I've reviewed from a Japanese developer, and historically Japan tends to be a more traditional and reserved culture. However, this doesn't have to be the norm, because you can so easily go above and beyond if you do it right. For example, Konami, currently developing the remake for Metal Gear Solid 3, released a conference.
Do
Konami.
Do not be giving credit to.
Don't give credit to Konami. Konami doesn't do anything good.
Konami doesn't deserve it.
Konami doesn't deserve any credit on
The
anything.
producers of the project discussing the fans' feedback. They were willing to show all the comments, both positive and negative. This was a bold move, but it also won back.
Remind me to have you on the thumbnail, Josh, since you were here for the entire thing.
Even though being
forgot.
reserved doesn't make
I forgot I was
someone
here.
incompetent. If you don't have any transparency with players, you are still expected to roll out content updates in a reasonable schedule.
I'm gonna be honest, I kind of
If you
forgot I was
say
here.
nothing,
I
that
forgot we
will
were live.
still
I thought we
cause
were just
people
doing a
to doubt
recording.
you. It's not something that's out of the realm of possibilities. They have the budget to do it. Earlier this year, they did the first servant animation updates after 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Animations of the 2 SSR
Okay,
versions
okay.
to make them appear.
I'm gonna say the fact that it took them that long to do servant update animations, that further proves my point that this new team handling FGO under different management, they had to adjust to this game's spaghetti code.
Oh, definitely.
And I think we're finally seeing, starting this year, a little bit of improvements that we have long been waiting for.
Yeah. I'll keep playing
fluid in
ZZZ
gameplay.
later.
There's even a
I wanna
unique
do the
attack
story.
animation if you attack Jill as John. That's a really nifty way to add attention.
Wait, really?
They didn't have to
yes.
do
I
it.
didn't
Okay,
know
pause it.
that!
Pause
During
it,
the
pause
7th
it.
anniversary,
Yes,
the gameplay system also added a buff to quick chains.
Yeah, it is only with Guild. It is only with Guild. I believe it's only with Caster Gilderai.
And she just
And
flicks him on the head?
Yes, and that is a reference, I believe, to Zero. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. I believe it's a reference to Zero when Gilderai was having his whole hallucination thing.
Oh, both Gil.
Oh, both Gills. Okay, well then. But still,
And adding the
still, you have to admit that's a
which
nice
will shake
touch.
up the game in a major way.
Well, it's, again, the
So
same
I
thing
know
you saw
Lisango
in
is capable of doing these
with what
improvements
is
if
it?
they really
Same thing you
set
saw with
their mind to
Jinako
it.
and
Keep doing those animation updates, just like how they've done in the
and
past.
Karna.
I'm sure a lot of players would like to see the end of the infamous caster balls.
Oh,
It's
I
just really
forgot.
standing there against a black background. So I mentioned this in the previous video, but it
Hey,
pays
Riskigal.
to be stingy. If players are willing to give a developer a pass despite not being treated too well, that is the perfect scenario to be in. This is because when the developer eventually does something that's minutely good, they get praise like the second coming of Christ. Look at the
Yeah.
overwhelming amount of praise when the
Oh my
genre
god,
animation
yeah, I
updates
forgot that
happen.
looks so good.
Yes, Lisango is the good guys after all. I guess they do care about us. Now, I'm sure the game has had its moments.
What is
the
this?
pity
Oh, hi,
system,
hi,
alongside
Ibuki.
full-screen cutscenes and optimization brought to the NA servers early, so I do want to give them credit that not all of it is bad. I know some people could argue, well, FGO has been improving in its own way. But if you watch the entirety of this review, I am not judging FGO by how much it's.
I
improved by
would
its
definitely
own metrics.
agree with you there.
This display of artificially prolonging events.
It does
a
feel
snail's
like
pace schedule for main
it
story
suffers
chapters,
from the
and
suits
dead
up top.
periods vastly
Yeah.
outnumbering the times when the game undergoes drastic change. So I'm granting them the below expectations rating once again.
Yeah.
To be honest, this section would have been even longer, but I don't see the point of beating a dead horse. I haven't even talked about the lack of content this year as well.
Oh, I
Two
see.
reruns back to back for a total of 6 weeks, so for roughly 2 months, there was no significant new content. For the record, I don't consider events quests or interludes as events, since it's a basic expectation that
not.
challenge content is rolled out periodically, much like how the majority of gacha games just release them as monthly or bi-weekly editions. They are not events. Now, this portion of the video was appended on the very last day before the video was uploaded. And after seeing the announcements of the 9th anniversary, I just gotta say, yikes. There were no major quality of life changes, and the addition of the 2 new append skills are another way to
Thankfully, they did
artificially
fix
add
this.
grind while requiring players to pull even more copies of the unit. However, the reason this video was delayed for a day is that after the JP player base did some convincing on Twitter,
Oh, definitely.
Screaming in anger.
actually issued a response within 24 hours. You can now transfer one append skill to another. So while this still doesn't change the fact that you have to pull 8 or more copies of an SSR.
Okay, so that it's unfortunate they didn't release this a bit later.
On Grillcasting will be refunded. I need to emphasize this part because Lysengo responding to the player base at all is extremely unprecedented. This must have struck a nerve so hard that it forced their hand. As many pointed out, this is not nearly
No,
enough to
don't,
address
no,
the
no, no.
implementation of
Don't
the
do
game.
it.
does
Make
not
sure
change
you
the
leave
perception of
some.
Lysengo as a company. It comes down to whether the big spenders are okay with this as the minimal amount of improvements. Remember, with a lot of these larger corporations, you get an inch, they take a mile.
That is true.
We'll see if 120 chords is all it takes to shut the players up. The
No, it's
universe
not.
is vast.
Hi, Sakura.
Possibly one of the largest Japanese intellectual properties out there. One
Which
cannot
Lane
deny
is
the
finally
cultural
real.
significance,
Well,
as well as the
Lane's
quality of the
finally
story and characters.
going through the visual
At its
novel with
core,
me.
FGO's gameplay loop is fine. Simplistic on the surface, but with layers of complexity under the hood. I think in terms of freedoms and builds or strategy, the game allows servants from all varieties to shine. For a game that has held steady for 9 years, I would say it still speaks a lot about its staying power and the dedication of its fanbase. I tend to go a bit easier on older games, since I know they never had the foresight of modernizing it to the current market. That being said, FGO has had a lot of opportunities to improve its mechanics and make changes. Now, I'll tell you the one argument I hate when any defense regarding live service games show up. You can't criticize the game because the devs will fix these problems in
Bullshit!
the future. My response to this
Bullshit!
will be the same every time. I can't predict the future. Neither can you. I will
That
review
is the
product
same
in front of
excuse
me right
EA
now,
and
regardless
you would give
if
to like
anything
EA
gets
and
fixed
such.
in the near
No,
future.
bullshit.
The problems I have stated in this video have been affecting the game for the better part of 7 years. I actually started on the script for this video by early May. The reason this wasn't put out sooner is because I wanted to wait until the announcements of the 9th anniversary to make sure that people can't make this argument. So for anything listed in the video, they are still valid criticisms. I've seen the anniversary announcements. I know it, you know it. And who knows, part of me really believed they fixed some of the game's problems, but hey, maybe 10th time's the charm. I've stuck with FGO for more than 2 years, and I believe being
And
a
I've
fan
stuck
of
with
something
it
is
for
not to
7.
blindly defend it, but to critique it so that it may become better. For those in denial of the state that the game is in, despite going into the modern gacha market, let me ask you, does having a laughable pity system, poor developer responsiveness, and the lack of quick farm features give FGO its own unique identity?
No.
It's part of the game's creative vision to leave out crucial skill descriptions in-game and mislead players through the UI. The weird part is, FGO is the one true anomaly in the gacha industry. Despite everything that has happened, the game remains to have an extremely loyal and dedicated community. If another dev
Because the
tried to do this
characters
as a
and
case of
story are
FGO,
so
the
fucking
game would
good.
fail. The Lightworks has literally tried that, and the game shut down in 6 months. You've seen the rating on the thumbnail. I cannot deny that the backbones of the story is supported by industry veterans.
Oh, it
And when
absolutely
shines,
is.
It absolutely deserves to be praised.
I hate that they call her Ultria.
Hugely marred by a mismanaged development team. Because part of me wanted to bump down the rating even more after seeing the dismal 9th anniversary announcements. I personally believe complacency and mediocrity should not be rewarded. And this company right here is one huge pile of it. All I have to say
Lasagna.
when seeing the status of this game is, after 2 long years, I'm finally out.
Damn.
With these
Damn.
words, I want to restate that a review is ultimately an informed opinion. You are allowed to disagree with me on any points in the video. I know that FGO, and by extension the Type Moon franchise,
There's
has
only a
long-standing
few things I
fan base.
disagree
I know
with
there are a lot of people
in
passionate
how
about this
hard
game.
he
I
criticized,
do
but
not want you
I
to
mainly
stop
agree
having
with
fun this
everything.
game. What I want to
Oh,
do
yeah.
is to point out the good and the flaws, and push the development team to make the game better.
Am I going to get the Fate Stay Night mod to switch Artoria's name to what it should be? No, because I think it would be more funny on stream that way. Plus,
hate
if I
Atrocious so
remember,
much.
if I remember correctly, Artoria isn't referred to by name that much.
No, it's mainly Saber.
Yeah, it's mainly Saber throughout the game.
Because, you know, identity, you can't reveal your servant's
Asking
identity.
someone to
Yep.
play a gacha game for 2 years is a very long time. I stuck with the game throughout my journey because I was
I got it.
engrossed in the lore and the story of the Fate universe. Truth be told,
Funny
I like
equals,
the
you know I'll
plots
fuck it up
and
because of
my
how I
down the
read.
line.
Hey, Alco.
Exactly!
Genuinely amazing stories by some of the best writers on the other side of the world. With that said, I appreciate your time being here today. You're free to leave behind any feedback or criticisms of this video down below. If you enjoyed the video and want more gacha content just like this one, you know what to do.
Yeah.
Thanks for
I've
watching,
already
and
subscribed.
as always, have fun out there.
That was a big...
Oh, Jesus, no!
I'm not leaving it off on that. I'm not. There. That's a little better. Okay, so oh, we got a bot. Lane, can
Oh,
you deal with
fuck.
that? What's the opposite of fuck you, virgin you? What? What, Lane? Okay, honestly, I might react to this guy's reviews more often. They
Oh, it's
they
good.
write good shit.
Good. Man. What was it called? Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I agreed with most of his points. Some of the
agree.
stuff
Some stuff I think is a little nitpicky, but barely. Everything
Barely.
else, I'm like, he opened my
Yeah.
eyes to be like, oh wow,
yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah,
FGO
it's just
has
like,
had me in a death grip since I laid eyes on Jolter. After that, I've been with the game to now, and while it hurts hearing these criticisms, they only hurt because he's right. Yeah, basically.
yeah.
Basically.
God. Yeah, Lasagna needs to get off their asses and
They
include
really
some
do.
of this stuff.
But I will say, I think part of the reason that the fan base forgives so many flaws with the game is, even though many quality of life changes are not here, our money goes towards improving the Fate franchise. Absolutely.
This is a cash grab for a reason.
But it's not.
I mean,
I wouldn't call it. It's a money maker. Cash grab would imply it's low quality.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's a moneymaker, but
Yeah,
still.
it's absolutely a money maker. But it's the reason we have Fate Stay Night remastered, Tsukihime remake. We got Mahoyo. I don't know how you say its name.
Yeah.
And we're also getting the Fate Stay Night visual novel sequel ported over at some point. We've got so many Type Moon anime stuff now. It's just like, that's part of the reason the fan base probably isn't as angry as it should be, is because they see their money actually going towards something.
Yeah.
Let's say Genshin, for example.
As bad as this game is, you know, in certain points, like, it is funding pretty much everything.
Yeah, like, let's take Genshin, for example, and I'm sorry, I gotta be real here. The money that goes into that game is not reflected in the game itself.
No,
It is
it's
not. And I don't see the same with, like, any other Genshin-related stuff. Maybe the anime, but the anime still hasn't been out yet, and we've been waiting almost 2 years for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
The Genshin money goes to Honkai Impact 3rd and Star Rail. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
It basically goes to their other projects. like that's the weird thing. It's just like not all Genshin Impact players will be fans of like Star Rail, Honkai Impact 3rd, Zenless Zone 0. Soon FGL will become a stagnant franchise. Like, no.
No, it
No.
won't.
As
No, it
long
won't.
as the story remains to be absolute peak, people will continue to play this game.
Yeah.
Like,
No matter how bad.
like Emmy does not play this game anymore, but they
But
do
he
look
reads
up the
them.
stories.
Yeah, he does read the story.
Yeah, like again, FGO, it's a big moneymaker. It should have better quality of life updates, but at least we know the money is going towards more of the things we like about Fate as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, for all.
I mean, we're getting a Fate Extra remake. I can't be any happier about that.
I mean, for all we know, we could get a Kara no Kyokai, what's it, a visual novel thing. We could get one of those as well.
I don't
Isn't
think I don't think Kara no Kyokai was a visual novel. I think it was
I mean, we could-
a light novel that became an anime. Someone can correct me on that though.
Yes, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like we could get a game about it if we wanted to, just from FGO's fundings.
Yeah, that's basically it. And it's just like again, there's a reason people have hopes for a Lost Belt 6 anime because the Babylonia anime was so good.
So good.
Also, FGO's
the
funding is basically the reason that they can afford to pay Ufotable to make Heavens Feel.
Yeah.
Even though they cut out Ilya singing, you monsters. Ilya really got the shaft in terms of her story relevance when it came to the movies.
I was actually gonna say, doesn't Ilya get the shaft twice? Like in Stay Night in general?
No, Ilya story-wise in Fate Stay Night gets quite a bit of the shaft. But in the movies, well, specifically Heaven's Feel, the movies, she, her significance is heavily downplayed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But yeah, like I said, this person makes damn good videos, like...
Mixed quality.
Like, I need to... How long is this Honkai Impact 3rd review?
Great! How long is it?
Okay, it is about an hour.
We can react to that. Oh, he has a correcting his mistakes video.
Wuthering Waves launch situation.
Out of
Rem,
nowhere.
The best support will never return. I wonder if they have Blue Archive on here.
I don't think they do.
Oh my gosh, these thumbnails are so cursed.
These thumbnails are cursed.
But I respect it. I
Yeah.
respect. I
literally said he has a correcting his mistakes video.
Okay, I'll have to react to that too.
Those skills that
Okay, but yeah, everyone, I'm gonna make sure I leave it up on the screen. Go subscribe to this person, and they did have a note at the very start of the video. Do not upload reaction content until like 3 weeks pass, and I plan to respect that.
Yeah.
This video is gonna be so freaking long.
It's gonna be so long, but it's so worth it.
It's gonna be it's gonna be the length of one of my streams.
It's gonna be the length of your Kingdom Hearts video.
It's gonna be longer than that, Josh.
Yeah, it's gonna be longer. It's gonna be longer than the level 1 run of Kingdom Hearts 1 that Dawn did. That you should go watch.
Yeah, you totally should. You totally should watch. You should totally subscribe. I'm not gonna do that. Well, you should subscribe to me, but you should also subscribe to Psyche.
Yeah, I pronounce it Psyche. It could be pronounced differently.
Yeah, we're going to react to more stuff, but in terms of like the video, that's going to do it. So everyone, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to both me and Psyche. And check out their videos, because I'm not gonna react to every one of their videos, but they deserve the recognition. I'm definitely reacting to Honkai Impact 3rd, and I'm very curious on what their quote unquote mistakes were.
Yeah.
So basically, if they don't ship Mei and Kiana, I'm gonna be all over them. Okay. Alright. We're gonna move on to the next thing. Bye!
Bye-bye.
Data received.